Okay. We are live. All right, John, thank you. You're the best. All right, so, hey, everybody. Okay. I feel beat up right now, and I feel old. All right. Hey, Frosty and Winnipeg. Let's close this out. Let's get Paul here. Copy link. Guys on Twitch, I unfortunately will not be able to join it. I'm kind of locked out of my account for some reason, even though I'm streaming there. So I recommend if you want to watch it, you could go to youtube.com/whatthetech and join the chat room there.
Yellow. Okay. Microphone. Yeah. Yellow.
Oh, hey, Paul.
Hey.
Hey, sorry. I had you potted down. I'm in a chaotic day. What the Tech is live. Come join us. Come join and chat with us. Atherot at Andrew Zarian. Tech podcast. Okay. I got a new camera here that I'm not going to set up today, but we have a second camera again here. And I cannot get that thing off my face.
The little square.
It keeps coming back. So
you look like you're getting targeted by the Terminator.
I know.
Not a threat. Oh, no, this is a good build. Hold on 1 second.
No problem. I need like 2 seconds here anyway.
Shot. I assume there's nothing to this, but let's make sure. Oh, there it is.
All right. Ooh, the Office Jet Pro 9025, Paul.
I know. It's really nice.
Well, that's a nice printer.
It really is.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm serious. It's a very nice
Yeah.
printer.
No, I know. It's a lot of people. It's like printer, huh? I was like, yeah, actually, it's kind of awesome.
Hey, I actually got a question for people in the chat. How do I sound to you? Because my son came in here and he fiddled
Mhm.
with the knobs in the studio. So
Yeah.
now I sound weird in my headphone. How do I sound to you, Paul?
I mean, you sound okay.
Is it a little
I mean,
distorted or
no, you sound a little, I don't know, a little low, maybe.
a little low? Ah, okay. Maybe that could be. How about now? Is that any better?
Yeah, it's louder.
Okay. Okay.
Not sure what the word is I'm looking for. You sounded a little
You
dim.
sound like an idiot.
Yeah. What are you from New York? I tell you this. When I moved out to Colorado, I mean, to Colorado, yeah. When I moved out to Arizona many years ago, we were out in the desert somewhere, and these people were at the side of the dirt road. We pulled over to see what was going on, and they were handling a tarantula.
Okay.
So I said, "Hey," some of them were afraid of touching it. I said, "It's perfectly you'll never get stung by this thing unless it is afraid of you. It doesn't mind being handled." But I said, "You can't hold it too far off the ground because if it's more than like a foot or so, and you drop it, it will explode and you'll kill it."
Yeah.
And this guy's looking at me like suspiciously. And
That
I
you
don't
know
remember
this.
exactly what he said. What he basically he thought I was from New York because of my accent. And he said something like, "Yeah, like some guy from New York's gonna know anything about a tarantula." And I was like,
I mean,
why on earth would be my where I'm from have anything to do with my knowledge of something? But it was just the most idiotic exchange. And I was like, A, I'm not from New York, and B, don't pick it up that high.
you know what's
Maybe.
amazing? First of all, the fact that he thought that accent is from New York, I find that very
Yeah.
insulting. I would be
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
insulted.
Well,
Second,
it's like when you go to France, they can't tell if you're from Britain or the United States.
oh, is it
Like they can't
is that
tell.
a
They
thing?
literally can't tell. Yeah,
There's
accents
a
are
big
weird.
difference there. There's a big
Oh,
difference
yeah,
there.
obviously there is, but to a French speaker, they can't always tell. It's like Australian versus New Zealand versus England. You know,
All right, sorry about this. Hang on, hang on. I need to find. God, Paul.
what's the matter, Andrew?
Sorry, I'm trying to find something and.
It's okay, Andrew. My time isn't worth anything.
Sorry,
Take
sorry,
your
sorry.
time.
Hey, I do have a cool pick of the week this week,
Yes.
and I'm holding it in my hands. I'm holding my pick in my hands. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this so you guys can see.
Oh, I really don't like this. Why does this look like this? Oh. Why?
John, I got a little issue. I just found out that Backblaze changed their rate. So it's $6 a month and not 5. So do we say that in the do we say that in the live read in the opener? Let's see. He's going to check.
Wow.
I also found my phone. Remember I told you I lost my Samsung?
Where was it?
My S9? It was so thank God I actually found it because they came to replace my couch that I got from Raymore and Flanagan. The couch had like all these problems, like the spring. So they're like, "Oh, there was a defect. We'll give you a new one." They came to pick the old one up, and at the I'm like, "Let me just check." It wasn't even in the seat cushion. It was like under the springs, inside of the couch.
Yeah, that's like I lost a SIM card that way. Remember, before a trip, I had to rip open my couch to get it out.
Yeah. Oh,
Probably a child.
You ripped it up?
Yeah, oh, yeah. No, when my wife came home, because I was about to go to the Netherlands, and I was putting the Project Fi SIM in back when I was still on AT&T or something, for the trip, and it popped out of my hand. It went down between the cushions. I reached for it, but my hand going between the cushions made it wider, and it fell below. It fell perfectly into a seam, and it was inside the couch. You could hear it rattling around. So when my wife came home, I had the couch upside down. I had the bottom, this like fabric thing
Yeah.
ripped off, and I had a power saw out. And she goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't think I'm going to permanently damage the couch, but I am going inside of this thing." And so I cut a square out of it. It was like a jigsaw. I cut a square out of the wood on the inside of the couch,
Oh my God.
and then actually she reached her hand in because she had a smaller hand, and was able to retrieve the SIM card, which was undamaged. Actually, I think I still have that SIM card to this day.
Actually, you're very lucky.
I know. It was, yeah, very, I know.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do here with this. Sorry, guys. John, can we just put the billboard is fine. It's just the video. I mean, can we just put it in after the fact? I'll just re-record it, I guess. I literally just found out. So, sorry. I'm just waiting, Paul. Just waiting. You never wait for me. A rarity. It's a once-in-a-lifetime moment.
Yeah, I think I would handle it better, frankly. But yeah, fair enough.
I'm just trying to figure out what the best thing to do is. There was a rate change to Vita. Yeah. Let me do this. Let me do one more message here. And we can start. All right. I'm going to start the show.
Okay.
Let's do... Here we go. In 3, 2, and 1. What the Tech is brought to you by Backblaze. Unlimited online backups for just $5. No gimmicks, add-ons, or gotchas. To start your 15... Let's do that one more time, because this broke down.
I wasn't sure if that was me.
All right, let's start this one more time. 3, 2, and 1. What the Tech is brought to you by Backblaze. Unlimited online backups for just $5. No gimmicks, add-ons, or gotchas. To start your 15-day free trial, go to backblaze.com/whatthetech. Hover. Find a domain name for your idea. Go to hover.com/WTT and get 10% off your first purchase. Again, that's hover.com/WTT. Hover. Domain names for your ideas. Hey everybody, welcome to What the Tech. I'm Andrew Zarin. Of course, I'm joined by Mr. Paul Thurrott. How you doing, Paul?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. It's a beautiful day here in New York. I don't know about where you are, but spring is almost here.
It does have that look about it.
It's almost that time, Paul. It's almost that time. We are live on a Tuesday here today. We're doing the show live. We do it each and every week on Tuesday, except for when Paul's traveling. Then we do it on a Thursday. So we're generally live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I should say. And you can watch us anywhere podcasts are available. You could download the show. You can listen to us. We're also on Patreon, patreon.com/whatthetech. You could go there and fund us. And for all things, Paul, you go to Thurrott.com. I got a message the other day, and this guy goes, hey, listen, why don't you plug all this stuff in the beginning of the show rather than waiting at the end? And I said, why? He goes, sometimes I check out early. I said, that's a pretty honest answer. So here we go. I'll plug everything
We're going to front
early.
load all the ads. Here we
Yeah,
go.
there we go. Paul, a lot's going on. Obviously, you're very busy. You were in Barcelona a couple of weeks ago. We went over that.
Yep.
You are coming to New York.
Yep.
When are you going to be here? On the 20 what?
It's 2 weeks from today, so the 26th. We're having we're calling it the Health of Tech. I would have called it State of the Union, but opinions differ. But anyway, it's kind of a live event with Brad, Mary Jo, and I at an undisclosed location.
Yes.
So you need to sign up and get tickets. It's free if anyone is around and wants to come. I think it's going to start at about 4 p.m. We're going to open the doors at 3, and then afterwards, we're going to go to Rattle and Hum West, which is the only Rattle and Hum now, I guess, and have a meetup, which anyone can come.
Are any of the people from East at West now?
I'm told that Agnes might be there sometimes. I was there. Remember that terrible day of the storm
That I did not come.
a month ago?
Yeah.
I didn't see her there, but I didn't see anyone I knew there. Other than the woman who was kind of the manager, who was the manager of both locations, was there. I don't know her as well. I don't even know her name, obviously, but I don't know. I think Agnes we should ask Mary Jo this.
I miss the old crew there. I miss getting harassed by them. I miss getting yelled at by them. All of them. Pretty much all of them. Guys, we do have a lot to talk about today. I have a couple of things I want to show, and I also have this at the end of the show. This is going to be my pick of the week. I'm in love with this light bulb. I never thought I would say that in my life. I'm a 35-year-old man, and I said I'm in love with this light bulb, and I'm going to explain to you
about
why.
how you're using it, Andrew. What's happening?
Yeah. Well, you got to screw it. That's how you get it to work. I want to talk about this light bulb at the end of the show, and that'll be my pick of the week. Because a lot of you guys saw the changes we did to the studio. If you're watching this live, you can if you're watching the video, you can kind of see the couple of the changes we did here. We got a new shot. That's the guest shot, Paul, right over there.
Okay.
And we're using those lights there, and I thought it was pretty cool, and I'm going to bring it up today. So let's begin. I kind of want to talk about a couple things. Let's begin. I'm gonna skip the notes a little bit, and I want to talk about the Apple Services event that we're going to get on the 25th. What can you tell us about this?
Well, I mean, the going well-placed rumor is twofold, right? We're going to get Apple's news service, right? Not to be confused with the Apple News app, although that's probably how it will surface on your devices. And then, of course, the long-awaited Apple Video service, which is going to be a Netflix-style deal where they have original content. There's some kind of monthly subscription free, et cetera, et cetera. And then the outlier, the one thing that people are really kind of hoping for, although I could picture this happening at a separate event with new iPads, but supposedly there could be an update to the AirPods. Why doesn't that sound right?
AirPods. Yeah, AirPod 2s.
AirPod 2s. Yeah. I don't know why that sounds weird when I say it.
Yeah. So I kind of want to talk about this streaming service that they're going to offer. They're getting in the game. I mean, that's a Netflix competitor now, right? Or a Hulu competitor.
Yeah, but look, they're starting from scratch. I was just thinking about this today. Well, one of our other stories involves Hulu, and I don't, and we'll talk more about this later, but the entire notion of cord cutting and how that works, and what services you pay for and use, et cetera, et cetera. So I think Netflix today has established itself as the tier A content provider, right? Because it started out as one of those weird places to basically get a handful of decent movies, but a bunch of B level crap that was just like used to be straight to DVD or straight to video type stuff. And it evolved over the years to become like really valuable. It surpassed HBO as, the premier creator of original content. And they've spent lots of money to make that happen. They have deals internationally with video houses all around the world. And so you'll see a lot of British TV, Australian TV, Canadian TV, Icelandic TV, Scandinavian TV, et cetera, et cetera. So they're a big target. And then there are other players that are kind of, I place one or two tiers below them, like Hulu is in that list. Amazon is, and Amazon, it's a terrible word to use, but it's kind of the ghetto, I think, of this stuff. The interface is terrible. choices aren't as good. It's
Search is
just,
not great. Yeah, search is not
yeah,
great. They hit the nail on the head on a couple things here and there, but they're really not
yeah.
I
No,
mean,
Amazon,
how could they be great at what they're doing if that's not their prime focus? You know, in order for you
yeah,
to
pardon the pun, Andrew, right? So I don't, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, to me, I use this on a Roku. It's probably better on like an Amazon device, but when you go to the Amazon Prime app, I mean, it's the most cluttered down level UI I've ever seen. It's just awful looking, and they could do a lot by just doing a little, like cleaning it up or whatever. Anyway, but this, and then there are there's all these things out on the side, right? There are the premium cable channels which you can get an app for today, HBO, Showtime, and so forth. There are tier 2 cable networks like Epix and probably some others that you can get
stars.
an app for. Stars, yep. There's all kinds of free video services, most of which are ad supported, like Tubi and many others, Crackle or whatever that kind of stuff. And then there are even like TV network apps and services, like the CBS one, for example. If you want to watch that new Star Trek series, currently the only way you can do that is to subscribe to their service too. And so it's this big swirly mess of stuff out there. Oh, and
Yeah.
I should say Disney is coming soon. Disney has its own movies. Well, now it's a multi-service thing, but
With all the
movies
streaming
anywhere.
services available, if you kind of watch things that are not, uh, let's say Amazon exclusive or Netflix exclusive, you
Mhm.
kind of cable's looking good to you, right?
Well, I mean, everything has its trade-offs. Like I'll say, and this is a software problem. Like this is something that actually um, could um, be fixed. But one thing I miss, like we don't use cable anymore. So one thing I actually kind of miss is you're watching a show, and there's a button on the remote, and it flips to the last channel, and sometimes the last two channels you can kind of toggle between the three. Like I don't have a service or a thing
Yeah.
that works like that right now. And like I that is kind of useful to me. But the overwhelming benefit of these things is great. And from Apple's perspective, they do have a loyal user base that likes to throw money at them. They are trying to expand their services business. They have a publicly stated goal. I think they have a privately stated goal that they haven't
They
said
have a
that's
set
much
top
higher.
box, you know?
They have a set-top box,
Yeah.
yeah, and so, but well, and they've also struck deals with lots of other places, companies to get their service out to smart TVs and soon to Roku and so forth as well. So,
Listen, also,
um,
here's the other thing, right?
mhm.
I'm willing to bet that when they announce a service, they're going to say, well, a 3-month subscription, you get a free Apple TV.
Oh,
You know,
sure.
so they're
I
going to
mean,
be able to do that.
DirecTV did something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and they have enough services now that an Uber service from Apple could make some sense, right? They could combine Apple Music with this thing. They could even combine things like iTunes Match or some iCloud storage or whatever. I mean, they're getting to the point now where they have enough of this stuff that a lot of their customers are paying for 2 or 3 of those things anyway, and it might make sense financially based on what they're already spending.
Well,
So,
I mean, that kind of goes into a deeper conversation here, which I do want to talk about. But before
mhm.
I ask the audience, I'm actually going to ask this to the audience before we continue. How many subscription services are you signed up to, and which ones
Yeah,
are they? Because I'm willing to bet if you are a cord cutter, like I'm a cord cutter, I have no cable, but I have Netflix, I have Hulu, I have Amazon Prime, I have
yep,
Spotify, I have WWE Network, I have MLB TV. I
okay,
have
I do too.
something else too. I'm sure I have something else. I have another very specific Japanese wrestling subscription. I mean, those are very niche, and you're always going to have that. But in
Yeah,
order to get TV access, I literally have Netflix and I have Hulu and I have YouTube TV.
right, right.
I'm paying like $100 and something a month to have essentially the same service across the board on 3 services.
So, yeah, that's true. So there's a little bit of complexity to that. There's obviously a cost to it. I was just talking, coincidentally, Brad and I were talking today about this kind of thing. We weren't talking about this exact topic, but we were saying if I was truly destitute, right, and honestly, I should do this anyway, but if I was really trying to like save money, you could make a good argument for just every month saying, look, this month we're just going to watch Netflix. And then when April 1st comes, we're going to switch over to Hulu. And then when, and kind of play
Sure.
it like that. And obviously there are some things like MLB TV, is something that lasts over a period of months or whatever. But, um, we spend a lot of time kind of, my wife and I kind of scrolling around with like just looking for something to watch. I mean,
Yeah.
we almost spend more time looking for something to watch than we do just watching something like where, it's one of those things like you don't want to be like how weird is it for a human being to spend too much time organizing the TV shows they're later going to watch and in doing so waste time, but I mean, we probably watch a couple hours of TV at night, I would say on most nights. And, you know, we've run through, I would say, most of the high quality Netflix shows that we want to watch, and there's
Yeah.
always something new. I mean, there's always something new. So you never know, but it makes it difficult. And, there's a couple things on Netflix, Amazon. It's like, we haven't really found anything we love on Amazon as far as, but we just get it. We have Prime anyway. So it's there. It's not, I'm not going to save money
It's
by
always
getting it.
just it's always just there.
Well,
I
no,
want to
it is,
continue this
right?
discussion
It's a
for sure.
presence in most of our lives, isn't it? I mean,
Amazon Prime. The
yeah,
only thing
just
I watch
Amazon.
on
Yeah.
there, I watched. If I'm watching content on Amazon Prime, it was Man in the High Castle, which I haven't seen the last season.
Right. Me too.
Um,
Which,
and
by the way,
my
is okay,
kids,
right?
it's okay.
No
It's
one is
fine.
gonna say that's the best show I've ever watched. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, but it's okay to me because I really like alternative history stuff.
Yeah, no, I
And
do
I
too.
love and I'm very much engulfed in World War II history and American
Yep.
history and European. Like I really enjoy that stuff. So for me, if Man in a High Castle doesn't live up to the expectation, I'm okay with it because it's giving
Yeah.
me kind of what I kind of wanted. For other people, like my wife, can't
Yeah.
really get into it.
Right, right.
It wasn't her deal. So I don't know. I want to continue this conversation, Paul. But before we talk about it, we're talking about subscription services and the affordability and just what's a necessity and what's not. And honestly, backing up is a necessity here. And in the world of backing up, obviously you need to do it. I spoke about the great disaster of 2009 last week on the show. How I lost everything that I had because of my idiotic RAID setup that I had. I wasn't doing any kind of backups. It was just RAIDed 2 hard drives and was using them. And when the RAID collapsed and the RAID controller died, everything else went with it. I was not able to get it back. And I wish Backblaze existed at that point because just for $6 a month, you could have unlimited online backup, no gimmicks or add-ons or gotchas. Like some of those other guys, you could back up your movies, your music, your photos, your videos. I still have all my MP3s sitting somewhere in the cloud, even though I really don't need access to it, just in case, Paul. Just in case I need that
Sure.
remixed version of that Depeche Mode song. I have it,
Well,
just sitting there.
sure.
But in all seriousness, though, it's the important stuff, like your work, like your family photos, your videos, stuff like that. It's projects. I even have all my school projects from many years ago backed up right now. Over 750 petabytes backed up and counting. Over 350 billion files have been restored. Recovery data from the web. You could do this on your Mac, on your PC. You could recover in multiple ways. These guys are awesome. I absolutely love them. And you get you could try them out by going to backblaze.com/whatthetech. That's backblaze.com/whatthetech. Give them a try. You get your trial period. And after that, $6 a month. Not bad at all. I want to thank Backblaze for supporting the show. I really like these guys. Really cool. You get a 15-day trial, which is awesome. So let's talk about streaming services and what the future of this is. In the notes, I didn't want to go to this quick, but I think it kind of makes sense to go to it
Yeah,
now.
kind of
With
segued right into
so
it.
Apple now is getting into the streaming services game, which they have access to this, and obviously, I would imagine they would bundle everything with Apple Music and all those movie libraries. You know where they would benefit? The movie rentals.
So that's the thing. So it's funny because here's what I don't want from Apple. Original content, right? We have enough places that have original content.
You mean you
Plus,
don't want the Tim Cook genius story?
this is the problem. So Apple has a real nanny state thing going on, and you might have seen the stories over the past couple of weeks of the content creators that were initially very excited to sign on with Apple have discovered that they're getting feedback from Apple executives, including Tim Cook,
Mm-hmm.
who thinks their shows are too adult, There's too much swearing.
So
There's too
bad.
much of people being mean to each other. This is like an even more childish version of Disney occurring over there.
And that's
And it's like,
dangerous, by the way. That's really
yeah,
dangerous when you reach that point of, obviously you're already catering to the director's vision and the network's vision and the
and now you
production
have to deal
vision,
with,
and now you got to deal with the
yeah.
CDN's vision, not necessarily
Well,
the network, but
yeah,
now
yeah.
you're the CDN.
Um, Look, I'm not in the movie, TV industry or anything, but I know enough about it to know that this kind of thing is always the issue. Ultimately, what you have is someone who's writing the check, and they come down from on high and they're like, "Look, this isn't what we were looking at." You see this in the form of movies that are changed at the last minute because people didn't like the ending or whatever it was. And a lot of times later, what you'll see is like a director's cut will come out, and it'll be the original vision of the guy who made the movie showing you the movie the way he wanted to make it before the studio got involved and screwed everything up or changed it in whatever way. Happens with TV shows, whatever. The problem is the guys that run Apple don't know anything about TV shows or movies or whatever. And they have this kind of puritanical worldview that
Yeah.
they've tried to enforce in their devices. They don't allow porn and stuff like that, which is, whatever, it's fine. But and now they want to extend their control not just to like the apps that you can put on the phone, but to the type of content that you'll actually watch or enjoy on the phone as well. And it's it's a very predictable problem. But you raised the issue earlier of what I do want to see from Apple, and this is something I would pay for, and it's basically a Netflix style subscription for the A-list movies that they currently sell and rent
Yeah.
via the iTunes store or whatever. Right?
Listen,
I would love that.
anybody with kids also, like right now,
Yeah.
my daughter is at the age that she wants to watch things that
Hmm.
she sees. She's like, I want to watch Frozen, right?
Yeah.
You know how many
Yeah.
times I've rented this from Apple? I could have bought it by now, but I keep buying rent for $3.99.
Right.
Obviously, at $14 a month, they would probably lose money with this, but what's the number for them, right? If I want
Yeah.
top tier A-list tier movie rentals, would you be willing to pay $30 a month? Maybe $40 a
So the
month?
thing
Maybe.
you're describing, it doesn't exist, right? For the most part, there are some kind of these services that you pay a monthly fee and you can see an unlimited number of movies in theaters in some cases or whatever, right? And there's some controversy around that, whatever. But um, the problem for the video stuff from iTunes or from wherever is that the pricing is actually escalated over time. So like a new movie today is 19.99 typically, sometimes higher.
Mhm.
Um, Google at least sells, I don't know why they do this, but they still sell 4K movies for more than HD movies. So sometimes over there, like a movie could cost 29.99. And then the rentals, remember the rentals were always like $2. Now like a new movie rental is 5.99 oftentimes,
Yeah.
And this is called like people like me, like every Tuesday when they refresh the selection, I go to see like they have 99-cent rentals. I often will just pick those up. Like my wife and I watched a 99-cent rental the other night. Because I would never there's no way I would ever pay $6 to watch a movie in my house. Like that doesn't even make sense to me. But that's the price. And so unfortunately, for the service that you and I want, there's no price that would make any sense, right?
Yeah. It would
I mean,
have
I think the cheapest it could be would be 19.99 a month, but
it would have to do with Apple would need to do some math, right? Where they say, okay,
yeah.
how many people are we
Mhm.
alienating from subscribing to a service like this by not having it, and how much money are we losing by having a service like this from the
Well,
people who
and
are renting movies?
it's entirely likely that the pricing that we see doesn't come from Apple or Google, right? It comes from these movie companies, right? And that the escalating price is these companies trying to, churn more money out of the system, whatever, which, which makes the subscription impossible. Like I just don't, if you think about something that's $20 a month and a typical movie rental is $5 or $6 a piece, you're talking 3 to 4 movies before you cross over the threshold, right? But the thing is, I wouldn't rent 3 or 4
Mhm.
movies a month at $6.
You
Would I pay
wouldn't, yeah.
$20 a month depending on the catalog? Maybe, right?
Yeah.
And that's that kind of math is hard because you don't know what the threshold is for everybody. Different people have different price points or different value points, whatever it is.
Well, I think it's going to come down to Listen, like for me, I would pay $24.99 to have unlimited rentals of their library. That's great.
If it was the whole thing.
The whole
If it
thing,
was
yeah.
all of
Like
it.
I don't
Yeah.
want it to be just this or just that. Like I
Right.
want it 24
What
bucks.
what
You know what?
what
I can
about
cut
TV
your
shows? What about TV shows?
I, I'm not saying they would do this, but maybe they're gonna have different tiers. They're gonna have their entry
Yeah.
level tier, and then they'll have a TV tier and a movie tier, and then everything. Maybe everything will be $40. Like YouTube TV, by the way, is charging
I
$40
know
a
40
month now
$40 a month. I know, and by the
to
way,
get
so
live TV.
yeah, there are I don't know, that's another thing by the way that the price has only gone up for some reason. Remember those services all debuted around 30, 35,
Yeah, now
and then they
it's
all went up, and it has to do with what they're getting charged, but there are some emerging um low cost live TV services, and I was, honestly, I was telling this YouTube TV is one I could drop because the truth is, like, we never use it, like, never use it. And depending on the time of year, like, we would use it to watch football in the fall, right? But we're not using it now at all. And we have MLB TV like you, so I don't need it for baseball. I'm going to get this wrong because I'm just doing this off the top of my head, but it's very limited, but there's a service. It's called something like Local, and it is a local TV service, and it's free but ad supported. I if you could pay $5 or $10 a month or something and not have the ads, because basically every time you change channels, it runs a little
yeah,
ad for
man.
itself. Um, I would replace YouTube TV with that right now.
Yeah, it's
Which, by the
listen,
way,
DirecTV,
benefit of the
DirecTV,
service.
DirecTV now raised their prices too by $10.
They all did. All of them did.
Everybody, yeah,
Yeah.
everybody. It's
Yep.
creeping up, and that's the thing. It's the argument of cable, right? The argument
Yeah.
is if I'm paying $40 a month for cable, and then I'm paying for Hulu on top of that, I could or $40 a month for YouTube TV, and then I got to pay another
Yeah.
$14 for and no ads Hulu.
Sure.
I'm better off just
I
getting
don't want to
cable
watch
again.
live TV. I really don't.
Yeah,
You know,
most people.
I want to watch stuff
It's called
after the
low
fact.
cast, by the way. Low cast.
Low cast. Thank you. Um, I'd like to have it there just in case. I mean, maybe there's a terrible thing happens in the world and I want to watch the news or whatever it might be. But um, the truth is we never turn it on. In fact, this is a good reminder. I'm going to get rid of YouTube TV because honestly, right, I would say from now through the beginning of the football season, I have no need for this service, like no need at all. We literally never use it.
Yeah, I'm actually on Lowcast right now. Yeah, so what it does, so literally all the live feeds for all the local stations,
Yeah. I looked at
plus
this.
some more, right? So you got like the other ones too. But let's say
Yeah, they
let's
have
say
it in
News
Philly.
4.
I'm sure they have it in New York.
Yeah, they got New York, they got
The
Boston, they
thing,
got Philly,
yeah, there's only a few,
Houston,
right? There's like
Dallas,
5.
Denver, Chicago, Washington, and Baltimore.
So the thing that I found with this service, and I think I must have looked at it on the Apple TV or something. Like it's it's a little head top heavy. If you change the channel, they play like a 10 or 15-second ad for themselves. It's like, guys, no, no, I don't need an ad for you. I'm watching you, but
Or
I'm sure they're hoping, I don't know.
or Pluto TV. Have you used that?
No,
It's weird channels. It's a lot of weird channels. It's live TV. And then you have stuff that's not a channel, but like within the Pluto TV, it's a channel. It's not like a network channel. So
right.
you have like CBS SN, you have News 24/7, you have CNBC, NBC News, Cheddar News, The Young Turks, Newsmax for like news channels,
I
right?
mean,
For
my
example.
God, there's like, yeah. So
Yeah, I mean that's everything you would need.
something will emerge out of that.
Lucha Libre, AAA Lucha Libre for me.
Right.
And then you got movie channels on there. So
Right.
I mean, it's like 200 and something channels on here, which is ridiculous, and it's free. This is a free thing.
Well, free and ad supported, right?
Free and ad supported, yeah.
Yeah. So far, I found the ads to be kind of ponderous. Like when I use something like Tubi, like TUBI, it's mostly B movies. Some good movies, but mostly B movies. I haven't found the ads on that service to be prohibitively irritating. Like and sometimes it's kind of surprising. You watch a movie for like an hour or something and there's no ad and you're like, what, how are they making money on this? I don't know, but it's okay.
Yeah. So this goes into a conversation that I wanted to have. And is there a opening now? Is there the the need for like a network to come about that can subsidize some of the cost for signing up to all these premium services. So
Right.
could it be possible? And I know that it's a
Yeah.
complicated scenario, but could it be possible that you have a subscription company where you could sign
Mhm.
up for Spotify and YouTube TV, and you pick and choose, and depending on how many you get more of a discount on the price. I'm surprised nobody's
I
doing
mean,
it,
you're
and that to me means that
yeah.
nobody wants to work together.
Well, no, of course. I mean, look, everyone is trying to extrude the maximum value out of the content they have. I mean, the way that cable came about, like the way that cable is now, is a direct result of um, there being some network of shows where one of them is super popular. I'd have to make something up because I don't really follow this kind of stuff. But let's use the Disney thing as an example. Like Disney has Disney channels. They own ABC. They own ESPN, but they probably own like 20 other things. I'm just making this up, but that nobody wants. But if you want ESPN and you want ABC, you have to take the whole package. And so, you turn on your cable box and there's 1,100 channels and you don't know like, what is this stuff? Like it makes it hard to even, it's the abundance of choice problem, right? And then the other thing that happens, of course, is that these networks, for lack of a better term, renegotiate with all the major cable suppliers over time. The prices go up, because now it's like, well, we know that 33% of your viewers are regularly watching blah, 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 whatever it is, millions of people. You can't exist if we take it away, but we're going to raise the price,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, the alternative, which is what we're seeing today, is this electronic digital, online thing where now it's completely a la carte and now there are a million of them, so,
Yes.
um, Disney's going to come soon and mess it up further. If you've got little kids like you do, you're going to want to get Disney because it's Disney, right? It has all that awesome content for kids. Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm at the point in life where it's not having TV is great. Like it makes tons of sense because we can choose between some number of services. Like we kept cable longer than we wanted to because we had kids. You have young kids, Brad has young kids. I mean, people like you in your 30s, you have in some ways fewer choices because you have to, in a way. I know you don't really have to, but you
No,
you,
I know
you
what you mean.
do kind
You
of
kind
have
of do.
to, get
Yeah.
stuff that maybe you and your wife wouldn't get otherwise.
Well, I'll give you here's an example, and this kind of may hint at what Apple is planning. But Spotify and Hulu have
Yeah,
now come to an agreement of sorts where if you sign up for
right.
Spotify, you could get Hulu for free. It comes
Yeah,
together.
so there's a big asterisk on this
Yeah,
one,
there is.
which is you have to be new to Spotify Premium. So if you have a Spotify Premium account, or if you at one point had a Spotify Premium account, you cannot take advantage of this offer. The other asterisk, I guess, is that it's the ad-supported version of Hulu, right? So you don't even, I don't believe, have the option to pay a little bit more and get the non-ad supported version, I think. Um, I'm currently paying for the non-ad supported version of Hulu. We haven't done this yet. Maybe you've done this. Maybe you know the answer to this. I've noticed that a couple of new TV shows that are new to network TV are appearing on Hulu. Now, we don't watch Hulu to watch TV per se, but
Okay.
like new TV, but it's there. Like Whiskey Tango is some new show, for example. Don't know anything about it. But I see it advertised on the thing. If I were to watch that show, aside from the fact I'd have to watch it week by week like a goon, could it in fact have ads in it because it's a brand new show, right? Did they
Yes.
do that? They
Yes,
do
they
do that.
do. So
See
I
that?
ABC does that. They tend to do that on
Yeah.
their stuff. It depends on the network, but I know because
Right.
I have the no ad version of Hulu.
Yeah.
And
Right.
what it
But
does,
you still see ads.
it plays a 30-second or 15-second ad before the show starts, and that's it.
Oh,
There's
that's
no
okay.
mid-roll or anything like that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay.
But ABC
That's
would do
something
that.
Amazon does a lot of too, by the way. And not just Amazon. HBO does this. A bunch of places do this. Like you're paying for a service and you're watching one of their shows and they're advertising one of their shows on the front of it. And you're like, guys, I'm here. Like you don't, why would you make the experience worse for someone who's already paying you? But
Yeah.
it's fairly routine.
I would say also this is kind of a generational thing, right? Like none of my brothers have any kind of streaming service, right? They
Yeah.
don't have cable. They don't have cable. They don't have
Okay.
Hulu. They don't have Netflix. They
Okay.
get a majority of their content on YouTube and 20-second clips. That's what they
Oh,
do.
jeez.
Or
Right.
they use my family plan, essentially. I end up
Right.
paying for it and they use my family plan. But
Okay.
they all pay for Spotify. Every single one of them.
It's
Both my
amazing.
brothers, all their friends, their girlfriends, they all have Spotify accounts.
Right.
And they're paying for it because they use Spotify as their streaming music platform. This is that you don't see anymore. You don't see people using Google Music or iTunes even anymore. I just, and even if I observe people on the train, it's all Spotify. This is a
Yeah.
generational thing, and this is their way of kind
I
of
find
protecting their brand.
I don't like Spotify. Like I pay
See,
for
I
it because
do.
my kids want it.
Yeah, I love
Really?
Spotify. Yeah, I love it
I
because
find
you
the interface to be bewildering. I hate
on the
it.
phone or on the desktop or
On
both.
the phone. On the
Okay,
phone. Mostly on the phone.
I have to tell you
But
why I like it.
I don't really I don't I mean I put it on PC sometimes and stuff like that. I've used it. But I don't listen to music that way, right? The whole phone thing has completely changed, a lot of things, but one of them is the way I consume music, and it's all phone based now.
See, I'm the total opposite. I do not consume any music on my phone ever. If I'm
Okay.
going to work, if I'm going to the city or I have my headphones in, it's always
Yeah,
a podcast. It's
right.
always
Yeah.
something that's a
Speaking
spoken
of which,
word
by the
thing
way,
or yeah.
this is a complete diversion. I
Yeah, go ahead.
apologize. What do you use for podcasts?
Um so people are going to hate my answer
Yep.
because it's beyond boring.
You're gonna say Spotify, aren't you?
No, well, no. I actually that's one thing
Alright.
I can't do. But
Yeah.
if I look at our number growth for this podcast, which over the last 2 years we've kind of like peaked, and it's been a very slow growth or decline. Like we've
Okay.
kind of hit maximum capacity. We have seen
Yep.
like a crazy uptick in Spotify,
Yep.
crazy uptick,
They're really pushing it right now.
and the age, however, is way younger than any of our other demos.
Yep.
Like if we have an older audience because of the content that we're talking about, but
Sure.
we have all of a sudden exploded with like this 20 to like 30 age group that's listened to the
Okay.
show, and that's because of Spotify.
Because of
No other
Spotify,
reason.
yeah.
But
Okay.
I use if I have my obviously my iPhone, I'm using
Mhm.
Apple Podcasts. I'm using their
Yeah.
podcast app, which is terrible, by the way. It
I think it's
sucks.
so easy on the Apple side to fall into that because it works fine. It's fine. But my whole thing is I switch back and forth, and I don't wanna get locked into something that I can't use everywhere. And what I mean by that is it's not just even simple logins. It's the very nature of podcasts. You're listening to podcasts. I want this thing to know which episodes I listen to, where I am in an episode. If I pick up another device, I can just pick up where I left off. Like that's actually really important to me. And if you do that, if you use Apple Podcasts, you're stuck.
What
That's
are-
just
what are
the
you
only.
using?
Well, right now the reason I asked is I'm using Pocket Casts,
Which
but
is a great app, phenomenal.
except that they updated it recently,
Oh
and the
no.
update sucks. And it is I have run into a serious problem because I'm literally binging a podcast right now and I have been for months, but I'm doing it out of order because it's not like a serial thing. Like I just listen to the ones I want first. It is impossible for me to look at a list and know that I've listened to something or not, and it is making me crazy. And so I've been researching other alternatives because I just can't deal with it.
Yeah, I
I paid
I
for
have
this
a
thing too.
so I got into let me see, what am I listening to? A lot of what's funny? I no longer listen to tech podcasts. Do you listen to tech podcasts?
No, I
I
never
really
listen to tech podcasts.
I kind of fell out of it because it got so cringy with the dishonesty. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we are
I
to a
well,
fault. We are very honest about how we feel about a product when we feel it, right? And then we will go
yeah.
back and we will revise what we said, and like I'll change my mind on something 6 months from now, and then I'll be called a hypocrite because I initially said I didn't like it. But I go based
Right.
on emotion with that. What I'm using is based on emotion and functionality. I never use the Apple Podcast app. I always use
Yep.
Pocket Cast or Stitcher, and I
Mhm.
evolved, and now I'm stuck to using this. And I know it's not the best, but it works for me. I can't listen to a lot of the big tech podcasts because I feel like, and I'm not accusing anybody of this, but I feel like
Name names.
their opinions are swayed due
Yeah.
to needing to get those review units in.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
if HP's giving
So I
you
don't. I
a
that's
couple
not my. I don't.
laptops, it's
Yeah.
hard.
I don't have anything like that. I read a lot. I read a lot of tech, right? So, um, in my news apps or whatever, there's a lot of tech. I spend a lot of time on the tech stuff, so I read it a lot. I have no interest in listening to it. Listening to other people talk about tech
It's
holds
hard.
no interest for me. It never
No.
has. With rare exceptions, I should say. I should bring up the list
Listen,
because
by the
there.
way, with me saying that, like, I'm not counting you. Like, I listen to Windows
No,
Weekly. I'm
that's
not
fine.
counting you in this because I
No, no,
kind of
no,
want to
no,
know
that's
what you're talking
fine.
about.
No. Don't worry about that.
You
Um,
dishonest tech
yeah,
podcaster.
yeah, yeah. I know. Yeah, I know who you meant. Ian. I get it. Okay, buddy. I got it. I got you. No. There's something called the Internet History Podcast that I subscribe to. I don't listen to it regularly, but every once in a while there'll be a topic that I really care about or a retrospective of some, part of it, and that's very interesting. I also subscribe to Scott Hanselman's podcast. He's a developer guy at Microsoft, and I almost never listen to it, but every once in a while there's a topic I really care about. But with those exceptions, I mean, I listen to music podcasts, movie podcasts, financial independence type podcast, travel podcast, if I didn't already say that. And then the two keto dudes, which is the the weight loss stuff. But Tim Ferriss sometimes, but I don't really like tech. I don't know what it is. I might be just because I kind of live it like it's too
Yeah.
much. I don't know. But when I'm out in the world and I want to listen to something, it's almost never tech.
By the way, sometimes I go back into it. You know, like it depends on the swing of
Yeah.
things. Like I'm going to LA next week.
Yep.
So actually Tuesday we'll be doing the show. If we're doing a show on Tuesday next week, which I think we will.
Hmm.
I'm gonna do it from the Ball
From
Shoot
LA.
studio. Yeah, I'm gonna do it from
Yep.
LA. But on my trip there, I load up on podcasts that I normally never
Oh, of course.
download.
Yeah.
That I
Yep.
normally never download, and I'll say, okay, you know what? On the way there, I'm gonna binge on this, and I'm gonna catch up to 5 weeks
Hmm.
worth of whatever they're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
On the way back, I'll do another one. And some of this stuff is stuff that I normally wouldn't listen to. Like something I got into, and I'll give them a
Mhm.
shout out. It's the Parcast Network, right? And
Okay.
they do um almost on a serial level
Yeah.
style. It's like an
Yeah.
NPR
Yeah.
style, which is not my cup of tea when it comes to content, but I think these guys do a good job. So they
Um,
do something called the unsolved murders, a true crime story. So they'll
yeah.
go
Yeah. I
through
like
two
stuff like that's
episodes of stuff.
interesting. Yep.
Conspiracy theories, cults. So they had one on cults. They
Hmm.
have one on just going back down here. I have Joe Rogan here, so I listen to Joe Rogan all the time. That's actually one of the more consistent ones that I listen to is Joe
I
Rogan's
can't stand
podcast.
Joe Rogan.
See, I
I
like
hate
him.
him.
I
He
like
talks
him.
too much.
He does talk too much.
Every
And he's
interview he
also
does with someone, I just like yell at him to shut up. Like
yeah, but he's
I
high
want to
half
hear
the
the
time.
person.
Joe's
I know,
high.
but I want to hear the person you're talking to. You don't have
Yeah.
to tell David Lee Roth what it's like to be in the music industry. He gets it.
Yeah, I watched
Like,
that interview too,
you
by the
know,
way. I watched that
yeah.
interview. Can I tell you, David Lee Roth is one of those people that I really like as an entertainer, but I hate as a talker.
Well,
I
he's an
was
insane person. I mean,
I experienced his first radio show replacing Howard Stern on K Rock.
sure.
And he brought in
Okay.
his
Still a
great
traumatic event.
uncle. Yeah, he brought in
Yeah.
his great uncle to talk about his restaurant or club that he
Oh
owned
yeah, no,
for 4.5
Cafe Wild.
hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there you
Uncle
go.
Manny.
Uncle
Well, so
Manny,
the
yeah.
reason. All right. So here's, by the way, this is a weird coincidence since we're on this topic. I mentioned earlier how not record companies, movie studios or TV networks will often screw with the content that people create. You might have seen this. Actually, it was on the Joe Rogan interview. He was talking about his radio show, and he said they kept coming down with like, you have to do this, you have to do this. And he's like, guys, this is not what I do. And it felt dishonest to him because he wanted to be himself. And they were like, no, you have to hit all these notes. And he's like, this is just never going to work. And
Yeah.
that's an example too of, higher ups meddling with a creative person and not letting them do the thing that they know will work. Anyway,
Also
not to
speaks
get off there.
volumes on Howard Stern's ability to do all that stuff and be entertaining,
Oh,
So
of course! My
one
God,
in
are
a
you kidding me?
million-
I
one
mean,
in a
the
million
man's a
s-
god. Yes, I mean, and yes, a lot of my friends are huge fans of his. Listen to him every single day. Blah blah. We go on and on, but I'm not like that. I don't try. I don't commute for work or whatever. I don't listen to him all the time, but every time I do, I'm always so impressed with just
Yeah.
the kind of poise that he has, and the fact that he's done it now for what 30 years plus. I
100
mean, it's
years.
crazy.
He's a
Yeah,
dinosaur
it's
at this
amazing.
point. I want to continue this discussion. We kind of went off topic, and I feel like it's always the more fun shows that we do when we
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that. But I do want to take a moment and talk about our great sponsor, and that's Hover. Hover.com/WTT. You get 10% off your first domain name purchase. Since we were talking about Joe Rogan, I actually owned JoeRogan.co for a very long time, and I gave it to him. I also owned Thurrott.co. I gave it to him. I own LeoLaporte.co, and I gave it to him too. So I kind of buy these domain names for the fun of it, and I hang on for a while. And I'm not looking to sell it, but I have sold domain names. But sometimes I just buy them just so nobody else gets it. I have about 300 domain names. A majority of them are with Hover, and the reason why I go with Hover is because obviously they're an advertiser here, but before they were an advertiser, I was using their service. 2012 or 11, I started using them. Managing your domain names is super easy. You have the freedom to connect to any web host or website builder, automatically connect to popular web hosts in seconds, powerful domain name management, and they also don't upsell you like those other guys. Sometimes you go and you think you're paying, a couple bucks for the domain name, $15, $14, whatever some of those other guys charge, and then by the time you check out, it's around $70, which is wild. They hit you with, domain names. They hit you with support. They hit you with free domain name privacy to protect your context. With Hover, the free domain privacy is included. You also get best-in-class support. You get hundreds of extensions, and you have the option to use your domain name to send professional emails with your domain name that you've done. These guys are great. I absolutely love them, and they're hooking you guys up with 10% off your first order when you check out using the offer code WTT. Just go to hover.com/WTT and check them out. I want to thank Hover for supporting the show. I love these guys, actually. Another Canadian company, Paul. They're so nice up there.
By the way,
So
real
nice.
quick, because
Yes.
you kind of glossed over this,
Yeah.
or we did. I mean, I think you were hinting earlier at the timing of the Spotify Hulu thing is kind of interesting because Apple's about to announce whatever they're going to announce, and we've kind of speculated that one of the things Apple could do would be combine its movie and video services into some kind of a broader, more expensive subscription service. And I think it's possible that this represents an attempt by Spotify to kind of dull that a little bit, right? Because by combining Spotify with Hulu, you get kind of the same thing. But of course, what you're getting is one of the better video services, not this new unproven thing from Apple that's not going to have that much content.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that they're doing it. I think that's the
Yeah.
most fascinating part here, that
Mhm.
they're doing it where the timing is more interesting than any other thing. I know that they were doing this. They had some sort of relationship previously, and to kind of push the PR aspect of this now speaks that maybe they know something about the Apple event, or
Right,
they're making a
right.
very intelligent guess.
Yeah, or whatever. I mean, even if the two Apple services were kept separate, so you have Apple Music, Apple
Yeah.
TV, Apple
I
Video,
no
whatever they
longer
call
go with what makes the most sense, and for me, I think having a subscription service to that A-tier movie library and TV library would be amazing.
it.
I
Mhm.
don't see them doing that. I think they're hanging on for dear life to that buy and rent mentality that's kind of going away. It's amazing how Apple's kind of become the old guys in this, right? Over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
They are where the music industry was and the movie industry was when they came up with iTunes and this availability to kind of stream and rent that way and purchase that way. Now they're the old guys where really you're not streaming the content, you're kind of renting a 48-hour period or purchasing and storing it in the cloud, which is a very mid 2000s way of doing things now. We're all about streaming services. So why not? Do you think if they had a $50 streaming service with everything on their library, it would make sense? Like what tier, what price plan is obscene at that level?
Yeah, I mean, God, you'd have to do the math on that. I mean, I mentioned I do the 99-cent rental thing on Apple, right? One of the other things I do is they'll every week they have some different selection of movies that are cheaper, cheap, like $5 to $10. And I'll flip through there. And last week I actually bought maybe even 5 movies at $5, right? $5 is a price where I'm like, if I'm going to watch this more than once, sometime in the future, it may make sense to have this thing. Plus, I also have this kind of idea that like it's sometime in the future, we're going to dramatically cut down on the stuff we're paying for monthly, and then we'll have this content, that we could enjoy or whatever. So for some reason, I do buy movies from Apple if they're cheap, you know. So like how many $5 movies would well, I guess I'd have to buy 10, right? So do I buy $10 like 10 movies or some combination of 10 $5 movies and 3 or 4 $6 rentals, which I never do anyway. I mean, I don't know that I could justify 50
Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious.
personally.
34.99. Maybe that's the price point for most people. If you're getting access
Well, I
to,
mean, you could listen, if this thing here's another way to think of it. I mean, we're thinking of this as movies, right? And of course, what you and I want is a movie subscription service, whatever. You know, if they could somehow get TV shows into this, right? Now you have to kind of add it up against the cost of something like YouTube TV, which is $40 a month, right? Now you're not getting live TV, I get that. But if you got access, like I mean, couldn't most people wait a day to watch the show? If you could get access to new shows the next day, ad free,
yeah,
I mean,
it
that
kind of
would
makes
be
sense.
incredible. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Listen, whatever they announce is going to be so lame compared to what we want.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, we'll see.
we'll see what happens with that. I want to kind of show something here. I got something really cool. We talk about smart lights, and we do this a lot on the show. Paul, what's your go-to smart light?
Well, we've been using Philips Hue. The truth is, I feel like Philips Hue is going to be displaced because they're expensive. Even on sale, these things are expensive.
They're very
And so I
expensive.
think, yeah, yeah.
So I use so the smart lights that I've used are the LifeX lights. And the reason why I got it is because it was the brightest light at the time, and the Philips Hues had not been updated for a number of years. So I like the RGB lights. I like to be able to kind of set the different lights and use it in the studio for different things. So I kind of got stuck in the LifeX platform for a while.
Mhm.
My wife bought me the Philips Hues. Now you have it. It comes with the hub, right? Yours has the hub.
Yeah.
Okay. So I set it up and I was not very impressed. And I'll tell you why. It had to do with the price point for these lights. They're not cheap at all. Especially when you go with the color lights, right? You're paying about $40 to $50. Those LifeX lights are around $48, $49. So I started looking for alternatives that are at the same level. And I was tipped off to a company called Yeelight. And I think Xiaomi, right, Paul?
Xiaomi, yeah.
Xiaomi, yeah. Xiaomi owns them. It's a property of them. So these are the lights, and they're about 20 something dollars. I've seen them anywhere from $18 to $28 depending.
For what? For a light?
For a light.
Yes, that's still really expensive.
It's
That's crazy.
so cheap. Yeah, but you know what though? It's half the price of what
Yeah, I know.
LifeX is
I can't
charging.
believe how expensive stuff is.
Especially if you want the RGB lights, right? You want the color lights.
Yeah, of
So
course. Yeah.
I did a number of comparisons here. So I compared it with the Philips Hues that I have here. I compared it to the LifeX lights. And I have to tell
Mhm.
you, these are probably my favorite lights. I like the Wi-Fi lights. I don't like the hub. Just because it works when I'm not here and I'm able to kind of do all that stuff. I like the fact that I have the Wi-Fi lights because they're also a little bit cheaper. These are Wi-Fi based, and you can kind of create the scenes and do all that stuff. But the cool thing here, and I'll show you, I've actually used it in one of my shots here. So let's cut to this. So that's a new shot that we're going to be using for a show. So let me see if I could change the lights here, and you guys could see. So I like it because it's really bright. It's about 800 lumens. The LifeX is a little bit brighter. It's 1,000 lumens, so you get a little bit more color. But honestly, it's not that noticeable. So you could have scenes. You could have this. It's everything you could do with the Philips Hues essentially. This gives you a ton of options. Obviously, they're not an advertiser. I'm not endorsing them in any capacity like that. I gotta change the color of the lights here. Sorry. let's go to one of them. So you could change the color to, I just changed that one. And it's just, you go based on a spectrum, and then you could just pick the color,
Sure.
which are, it's absolutely great. And the fact that it's about 30% cheaper than the other
Yeah, no, that's
lights.
a big deal. You should leave that on Patriots colors, by the way.
Yeah, leave it on Patriots colors, leave the blue and the white.
Yeah.
I was stunned how good they were compared to about 2-3 years ago when I tried a brand that I wasn't familiar with that were like $30 lights, and they were absolutely terrible.
Right.
So, and you could still get and by the way, those terrible lights, I got to see the name. It was like Smart Way or something. It was just a
Sure.
third party Chinese company that put a couple LEDs in this thing and was selling it. These are actually impressive how good they are
Yeah.
for the price.
No, listen, there are lots of choices there now. Philips Hue was kind of one of the early companies, and they're a big company. They support everything. So, this stuff's going to work with Google and Amazon and Apple. That's a big deal. One of the problems when you go down a path like this is if like with me, like we have several, I don't know the exact number, 4, 8, 10, something like 12-ish, 10 or 12 Philips Hue lights in the house. Now these things come along or some other brand, and you're like, well, I'm going to buy these other things because they're exactly the same and they're less expensive. But now I have like a system, right? It's more convenient for me to be able to use the thing I already have. So it kind of behooves you to buy more of them. Or you have to use some kind of a hub, which could be, what do you call it? Apple HomeKit, or I'm losing my mind. Smart Things, I think, does this. I'm forgetting some of the other ones. But basically a front end that can control all the different systems together, right? So you can do like scenes across your house or whatever it might be. It just adds complexity. That's all. I mean, there's no, if I was starting today, I probably wouldn't go with Philips Hue.
What would you go with? Just a cheaper brand?
I don't know. I would go with something cheaper. I mean, one of the things, well, Philips Hue, because it's more mature and because there's more of it, they have specialty lights and things that they're doing that some of the other guys don't have. Like we use a couple of Philips Hue blooms, which are these, they kind of point up they're like a little spotlight. And they sit in the corner of a room, and they kind of light up the corners of the room, and they're just on all the time, and they look great. We have like a Philips Hue light strip behind the TV as well. That I don't know. It's a convenience thing. They're definitely they're not the best option price wise.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And LifeX is doing the same, and these guys are doing the same too. But I find it interesting how the pricing has dropped. And the fact that we're still looking at a $20 light bulb or $30 light bulb, and we're saying, wow, that's not a bad price.
Right.
That's part of it. But I absolutely love these things. And obviously I use it in my studio, so it would make sense for me. Most people don't really need to have purple and pink lighting in their bedroom, and it maybe you want it in your bedroom, but in your living room and in your kitchen,
need is a strong word, but
some people do. They got to set the mood right, Paul. They're big on
well,
lighting.
The New York Times just wrote an article about when it comes to the smart home stuff. That I think it was the New York Times. So somebody wrote an article about this, and they're right that smart lights are kind of the low-hanging fruit for smart home stuff. It's the one thing that most people would enjoy and get value out of, and you can kind of cherry pick it. We found like there's no reason to put a smart light in every single socket, right? That would just be a waste of money. But in the areas where we do use it out in the sunroom with those bloom lights, for example, the light behind the TV, both of which are always on. We have a couple of other living room lights. My daughter's got these lights, and she uses them to kind of wake up, like they turn on over time. We have some lights outside over the garage. It's just it's not a need. There's absolutely no need to it, but we enjoy it. Like we actually do. It's like a technology that we've bought, we use, and we keep using it. And that's actually kind of cool. Cause you know how it is. Like a lot of times you buy stuff and then it drops off the face of the earth.
So if you want to check these out, I'll have a link in our show notes, obviously. And of course you could just search Ye-Lights, and I'll also link to the specific one that I have. Paul, for all things Paul, you go to Thurrott.com, obviously. If you're watching this live, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/whatthetech. You could fund us there. We're going to do our bonus show right after this. That's available only on Patreon, where Paul and I talk about whatever comes to mind at the moment. You got an extra 20 minutes or 15 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it is. Paul and I talking about a topic. Last week, I forgot what we did, but people really enjoyed it. We were going to talk about cars, but it kind of went into a different discussion. So, which it always does with
Okay.
Paul and I.
Yeah,
It always veers off, which is the funness of the show. Paul's going to be in New York. Can people? What's the detail now for this New York show that you're going to be doing, Mary Jo, Foley, and Brad?
Yeah, so if you want to go, you need to sign up. I have an article about it. I think it might still be on the homepage, but it's on throughout.com. What you're looking for, what you would search for, let me see if it's still there, is, no, it might be off the front page.
I think it is.
So just search for health of tech on throughout.com, and you'll see the article. You just need to, we have a sign up page. If you're going to be there, we just need to make sure we have enough room, because we're in a confined space. We can't exceed the seating capacity. We'll have a waiting list and stuff, so if people don't show up. And then, but the thing is, again, we specifically are having it at the end of the workday. So if you can cut out of work early that day, it's not like you're taking the whole day off. If you can hang out for a couple hours at school, we're going to open the doors at 3. And if you can't, at 6 o'clock that night, we're going to be at Rental and Hum West. So anyone can show up to that. It's just an informal kind of thing. Anyone can show up.
I'll be at both. I'll be at both events. I'm very excited for this. March 25th? 26th?
6th. Tuesday the 26th. Yep.
Yes, Tuesday the 26th. So not this Tuesday coming up, but the following Tuesday. You guys are going to be doing it. You can follow me on Twitter at AngelZarian. If you're watching the show, subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We got about 80 people watching. You can hit that subscribe button, and it'll tell you when we're live. You can follow us. It's all the good stuff. And that's it for this week, guys. See you later.
353.
There we go. Do this. There we go. Do this. Oh, it didn't save this. Why? Uh-oh. I broke it. I broke it.
Oh, 11 a.m. That's screwed up.
All right, that's good. Look at that. That works. All right, I'm going to hit record, and we can get started with this in 3, 2, and 1. Everybody, welcome to What the Talk. This is a bonus show. We record this live each and every week, exclusively on patreon.com/whatthetalk. I'm AngelZarian. Of course, I'm joined by my Paul Theron. How you doing, Paul?
Well, you should know by now how I'm doing, Andrew. We were just talking.
I don't know. I bet Brad knows how you're doing all the time, right?
Okay.
I bet he knows all the time how you're doing.
I see what's happening here.
Yeah, just nothing.
My heart is big enough for both of you.
I messaged him yesterday. I sent Brad a message. I'm going to read this to you. And I wrote to him. Read this. I said, hey, let me ask you something, Brad. How does it feel? How does it feel to know? How does it feel to know you stole him from me?
Jeez.
I really wish the best for both of you.
Wow.
That was my message to him.
I see.
All capitals. All capitals. No
emojis. Did he
emojis.
block you, or how did that go?
He wrote, he goes, technically, Paul recruited me for this company. So it's, again, his fault.
There you go.
Yeah. That was his message.
It's funny because both of those messages are so you guys.
Yeah. I tend to send him these every now and then. Like whenever you guys do something great.
Do you ever send him one like 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night?
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave him a drunken voice message.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are happy.
Yep.
I hope you guys are made for each other.
I'm alone again tonight.
Just crying, sobbing into my Pinot
Paul in
Grigio.
Cincinnati. He's there, isn't he?
I start posting pictures of me and Mary Jo out drinking.
Nice.
And I keep sending it to him and you. It's a whole thing. It's a whole weird thing we got going here.
Sure.
I'm excited for this health and tech thing you're going to be doing here in New York.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, this came up out of, I was going to write an article series. I was actually going to call it State of the Union, but anyway, the marketing people decided Health and Tech was a better name. But
I actually thought when I read Health and Tech, I thought it was a podcast that you were starting a new podcast about
No.
health-based technology. I swear to God, I'm not
Oh,
even
yeah,
joking.
yeah.
That's what
Oh, okay,
I
that's
really
funny, okay.
thought it was like about like Fitbits and
No.
things like that.
No, no, no. The way what if I had written this up and I've been taking notes, I have all these links to things, market share data, et cetera, et cetera. I would have focused entirely on the consumer market, obviously. I would have covered, computers and smartphones and wearables and smart speakers and, everything you can imagine, video gaming, et cetera, et cetera. Um, Mary Jo and Brad are involved, so we're going to expand it out to some enterprise computing topics. Of course, we're going to split it up. It's going to be largely
Yeah.
Microsoft focused, that kind of thing. But when we recruited Mary Jo for this, she talked to Tina, and it's presented as kind of a one-off thing or whatever. Like we're going to kind of see how it goes or whatever. But obviously, the goal here is to do this more often and maybe even quarterly or something like that. And so, I'm sure in Tina's mind, she thinks of it as a podcast. I
Yeah.
don't think of it as that, that kind of thing exactly. But it's not going to be regular. I mean, there's only so often you could talk about this stuff. But there's so many different markets you could cover. The one thing I did say was, assuming we do another one of these in 3 months or something, we could almost go back and forth between the topics. Like we can cover whatever 5 or 10 markets this time and then another 5 or 10 the next and then come back to the first 5 or 10. It is kind of an evergreen topic.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be kind of a cool conversation, basically. I mean, of course I think it's a cool idea. I sort of thought of it, but
Yeah.
I mean,
It
I
would kind
didn't
of
see it as
suck if you're like, ah, this
yeah.
blows.
It's
I came
like
up
most
with
of my
this.
ideas. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, I didn't see it as this kind of a thing. It was just something I was going to write, but I like the idea. Yeah.
I kind of wanted to ask you this a while ago, and I don't know if I have or not, but if you could, I was looking at something there. If you could do a podcast other than technology right now, if something that you want to do, what would you do
Oh,
if it doesn't have to do with tech?
oh boy. Um, I mean, I talked about my wife is working on a home swap blog, which is, travel related, and I'm contributing to that. That kind of topic is kind of interesting to me, or is interesting to me, I guess. It's something we do. I mean, there's I this is almost like it's sort of related to technology, but it's almost like if you go back to the original vision or idea behind life hacking, lifehacker.com, right? The original version of it before it was
Not,
just
not,
another tech.
yeah, not now, right?
No, no, now it's
Yeah,
just news and tech blog,
yeah, it
baloney.
sucks.
But the notion of like one thing I do kind of like, and it extends beyond tech, is just the notion of always doing things as efficiently as possible and continually reevaluating your life and trying to change things, to be better in whatever area. Like it gets into kind of an uncomfortable self-help kind of area thing. But I am interested in that kind of thing. Um,
It
like
was
we did a
it was
I'm sorry.
Gina Trapani that came up with Lifehacker, right?
I think
Originally.
so. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, so obviously that site's veered off from its original thing. It's a tech blog now, and they will occasionally have whatever it is, life hacking type articles, of course. But I mean, anyone could write that kind of thing. It's I like that kind of stuff. I think that's kind of interesting. And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be tech related. It's there's a lot of things in life. I think a lot of people go down these paths and they do these things and they sort of don't think through why they do it, but everyone does it this way.
yeah.
I like to poke at that stuff and try to understand if there's a better way to do things.
In what way? Like, by the way, I'm very much interested in this because I'm big on
Yeah.
the life hacking stuff.
Yeah.
Are you talking on just like almost like a minimalist lifestyle, or are you
Oh, it's
saying like
by the way,
just like
it
every day from
broaches
like, yeah,
yes, it's everything. It is it's a very broad top. Yes, minimalism falls into this, of
okay,
course. There's things like, like last year we did this almost as an experiment. I mean, and it's funny because it's kind of stopped, but we'll probably pick it up again. But like last year, I finally convinced my wife. I said, "Look, we travel a lot, and and you can get points, and you can take advantage of points, and we could roll a lot of our travel into what is basically basically make it free or much lower cost. We need to take advantage of this, right?" And so we researched this. There are these places like this, the Points Guy and stuff like that, but there are
yeah,
these really good resources that explain different approaches, which cards to get first, what to do, whatever. And so like last year we got 12 new credit cards. We did the spent,
12
the
new. 12 new
12 in
credit.
1 year.
Okay.
The outcome of this is this: over the course of last year, 12 credit cards. You spend, it's usually around
I
$3,000
thought
before
I thought it was going to be we sustained about $150,000 of credit card debt within the year for those 12 credit
Oh, no, no,
cards.
no, no. So no, you end the year, and what you end the year with is zero debt, right? You don't put money on the cards. You
Yeah.
you pay it off. Like, in other words, you change your spending habits. Like, we were always like, we pay for everything out of our debit account. It comes, so now there's a middleman, there's a credit card. We pay for everything with a credit card, and then we pay the credit card off. And so we did that with 12 cards. We got, if most of those cards are a value of $500 to $600 on average of something. Free nights at hotels, free flights, all kinds of different perks. And we still have a bunch of it left. Like, we haven't used all of it. But for example, when we last, I'm going to be a little rough on this because the details escape me at this point. But last summer, for example, when we were in Stockholm, we took the kids to Berlin, and we didn't pay for the flights of the hotel. Like, it
That's
was
awesome.
basically free.
Yeah.
We paid, we ate. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. But we, more recently, that last trip to New York, that was points at the hotel. It was free, free essentially. The previous trip we went on, we did a long weekend thing in Philadelphia that was free at a Hilton hotel. Yeah, I mean, so we do that. I have all these points in JetBlue. My daughter and son have both flown for free to whatever. And, like, when my son met us at JFK, when we went to Stockholm, that flight was free. Stuff like that. And so, like, the end point of this, just to kind of summarize it, because I've been meaning, this is something like I kind of want to write about, but I don't feel like I'm an expert at it because we didn't do everything right. But anyway, at the end of the day, so a year goes by. It's literally been 1 year as of now. So 12 credit cards, 12 times 500. We'll call it $6,000 to $7,000 of value that we got for not spending any more money than we spent normally anyway. And my credit rating went up. Like, a lot of people think that when you do a lot of credit cards, that your credit score is going to decline, and it could short term.
It's a combination of things, right? It's essentially the line of credit that you have and your ability to pay the line of credit on a regular basis. For people who don't know,
I don't even know. But look, if I was going to get a mortgage last year, if I thought for some reason I was moving and I needed to get a mortgage in August, I never would have done this because they would have seen this run of credit card applications. Like, I did just this morning, I got an email from Barclay that said your statement is now available. And I thought, Barclay, that's kind of interesting. I don't think we've used a Barclay card in a while. We actually have 3 of them, right? So one is a JetBlue card. The other 2, I don't even know what the other 2 are. So I brought the thing up, and I have 3 cards from Barclay. The one that had sent me the email, my balance is negative $62. Apparently we overpaid, and I at some point they'll just send a check. And then the other 2 is 0. And of course, but every time I get an email, I check just to be sure. Like, you don't want to, make sure you screwed something up. But since then, since the beginning of the year, we've put all our spending on the Costco card just to kind of see what that looks like. And we got a check for it was like $600.
Phenomenal. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, and the way that works is like you just bring the check to Costco and they'll give you cash.
By the way, are we starting a new podcast called What the Hack? Is this it now? Is this what we've come up with? By the way, I'm very much into this, right? I don't know
that I could fill. I don't know how much of this content I have.
I think it's like a 10-minute show. I think you literally do like a 10-minute weekly show where you like, okay, these are the hacks that we have for this week, and then you go through like 2 or 3 of them, and then I think we're gonna do this. I'm into this. I'm into this right now. I'm feeling it. Okay. So something that kind of goes based on what you were saying, actually a lot. I'm gonna kind of lay it out there. I don't have any credit cards. I have one Amex. I have my Amex Gold, and that's it. I don't use it ever. It's for my company, and if God forbid I got to use it, that's a bad sign. I just do minimum. I'm very
that's one way to do it. I mean,
because I know myself. I'm terrible with credit cards. When I was 18 years old, I made too much money for an 18-year-old to make. Okay, and then I became a total asshole with spending money.
Okay.
You want it. I will tell any 18-year-old this. You know what the goal in life is? Don't make struggle in the beginning. When you're 18, you want to be
Yeah.
making bare minimum because you will it'll warp your sense of spending and it'll take a while
Yeah.
to kind of get over that because from 18 to like 24, I was very irresponsible.
I
Um
had no money when I was
so
that age. I
I had a whole bunch of credit cards and I charged. I mean, listen, I was never bad in as far as not paying, but you sustain debt. Once I paid
Sure.
off my last credit card, I swore to myself, I don't want a credit card. I don't need it. The only reason why I have a credit card is because of the business, and you kind of need it to have good credit. My credit
Yeah. Yeah.
score is shockingly not that high. I think it's like a
Mhm.
703,
Okay.
which I mean by the average, right? The
Yeah.
average
Yeah.
American,
Yeah.
which is it's actually higher, but I should have like my wife has a unbelievable credit score. I mean, it's
Right.
crazy how high her credit score is, which I'm not going to say because I don't know if she feels comfortable saying it, but it's very high. And
Mhm.
that's because she has credit cards,
Right. Yeah.
not for
You
any
have
other
to.
reason.
Yeah. Right. I don't know the actual math of this, but I mean, there's
There's a whole
some.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like your available credit, how much you spend each month, whether you pay it off. There's a whole thing that goes into it. But and obviously, yeah. If we had credit debt, like debt on each
Yeah.
card, we would be screwed. Like that would be.
But they kind of want you to do that. Like the best,
Well,
and I
yeah,
was
maybe they
talking.
do, but
Well, we like right now
yeah.
we're gonna refinance our mortgage because we
Yeah.
on the house. Like right now it's the
Mhm.
time because it's
Yep.
a whole thing. But we're gonna refinance the mortgage, and my friend is handling the refi, and he goes, he like, and he's honest with me. He's like, honestly, your credit score is shit for what you should have. And he goes,
Right.
you don't have dings on your credit.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple from like 10 years ago, but that doesn't
Well, you
count.
just don't use enough
You
credit.
I
You
just
haven't
don't
used
use
enough.
enough credit. He's like, open
Well,
up a
yeah,
couple
but now
credit
you want
cards.
now you're asking for credit. So,
Yeah.
in other words, they're looking at you and they're like, "You don't have enough experience to know whether or not we trust you," with
Yeah.
this.
So I mean, either way, it doesn't matter because my wife, her credit's phenomenal. We are able, knock on wood, we make a good living, and we work hard. We both do our thing. But
Yeah.
it's kind of shitty that you somewhat get punished for not sustaining debt. you
Um,
know,
well, but hold on a second. So, but you gotta understand the system. I mean, you're talking the system is designed for credit.
it's
So,
designed for credit. Yeah.
it's if your complaint is, "I never had credit, but now I want credit, and it sucks because I'm not in the system." It's like, well, but that was like, of course. I mean,
No, no, no. Like
that's
you
the
don't. Here's the example. Like my credit card that I have, like my Amex is my Amex, and that's how it is. I have
yeah,
another card. I have a Citibank card, which
right.
it's a city dividend card, and I get
Yep,
points on it.
yep.
Never use it, but I purposely put a limit on my credit on that. I have a five
Okay,
thousand dollar limit on that card.
I see.
I probably qualify for like 20 grand on the card. I purposely have a $5,000 card because I don't ever want. It's
Yeah.
almost
Well,
like
I mean,
I know
you have no
myself.
self-control. What are you worried about?
Yeah,
What are you
kind of. Yeah,
talking about?
no, kind of. I don't want I don't want the day to come where things are getting bad financially and I still continue I put stuff on a credit card, It's like an oh
Mhm.
shit.
Well,
Right
okay,
now
but
things are good,
so,
but maybe in a year from now, I don't want to fall back into this. I
all
don't
right, if
trust myself.
you're worried about your person, yeah, this is like you. I
This
mean,
is me. This is me.
the issue for us was not that. Like, no, my wife never worried that I was going to run out and buy like a car or something. Like,
I want
it was,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, the issue was just time management. Like, my wife does all the finances, and so she knew like a lot of
mine
the
too.
work here, and it would be extra work would
Yeah.
fall on her. And she's like, "Look, I already, I do enough for," and she's right, she does.
Yeah.
And I said, "No, look, unfortunately, because you do pay the bills and you do all this stuff, you're going to be involved here. But I'll handle I mean, I'll do as much as I can. I keep track of I have a spreadsheet with all of the perks for each card and how much we have and where the points are and blah 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 whatever.
Yeah.
And I try to help out like I can, um, but I convinced her like it's worth the work.
It is.
The,
It is because you're
because
going to
you
spend that
can
money anyway. You're spending that money anyway
you are literally not spending any more money
than you would have.
than you've
Yeah.
ever spent, but you're getting this stuff in return. And for
Yeah.
look, if we travel, so for us the travel stuff is huge, and so there are American Express Gold and Platinum cards that make tons of sense for people like us, or Chase cards are particularly good for travel or whatever. There's a bunch of, and then hotel cards and, whatever it is, airline cards, et cetera, give you like, fast priority boarding, whatever. Um, but maybe if you don't care about that stuff, I mean, there are Amazon cards, there's Costco. If you go to Costco, like I said, Costco, it's just cash back.
Yeah.
So we always make sure we always buy gas at Costco. We always use the Costco card. It's like because it's, multiple point, like it's not 2x points. It's
My wife
whatever
has
it is.
the Chase Sapphire card.
Yep. That's one of the best
Um,
ones.
one of the best ones. And we made a very expensive upgrade to my house,
Hmm.
and we literally put everything on the credit card, and we paid it off immediately because we had the money.
Yeah.
And we got so many points
Right.
where they called
Yeah.
and they gave us, because of the points that we had, they kind of offered us like a deal not to do the points, but they gave us something in return.
No, I see.
I don't know if that's a traditional thing that they do, but it was like obscene. And they're like, listen, you're
Right.
not going to be able to use all these points. So let us, like, we bartered with them on something. I don't know. My wife did it, but
Yeah.
that's
Some
one
of
of the best
the
ones.
I forget like the cards. I mean, like I went to Dublin last year for work. We paid for my wife's ticket. My wife's ticket was $606 or something, but we had a $600 travel credit from one of the credit card thing, whatever card it was. And you basically just go into your bill and say, this is what I want taken off. And it just came off the bill,
Yeah.
you know?
The other thing, if you were to, I don't know what credit card company does this, and this is a
Mhm.
little life hack thing. My parents had a Discover card early on Discover's life, I
Yeah.
guess,
Yep.
whatever, 1980 something. And the card used to give them U.S. savings bonds
Oh,
for
jeez, that's
every,
amazing.
yeah. So for
Wow.
every
Wow.
$100 that it was something crazy. So I
Yeah,
don't remember
that's
exactly
crazy.
how many they had to spend, but they would get $50 U.S. savings bonds.
Yeah, because when you
S-
bought them, you weren't
It,
paying $50, right? You were
you were paying
paying
25.
is that what it was? Okay. And
So
then
I
it would
think for
mature
every
over time and
100 or every 1,000, they would give you a $50 U.S. savings bond that matured after 20 years or whatever. When then I have two brothers, so it was three of us. One day, my father came to us with a stack, and he goes, "Split this up. It's all yours."
that's great.
And I think it came out to like $3,000 each in
Yeah.
savings bonds.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's a lot. I mean, you're talking, that's a lot of money to have from virtually nothing, from
Yep.
just free money. You're talking 9 grand, he gave us the bonds, and that was our gift. And they had collected this over the years for us. So that's pretty cool. I would recommend something like that. It's almost like a little, you never think about it. You never
Yeah.
use it, and it just sits there. And I thought that was the most awesome thing ever that you could do.
It's
Uh,
just
uh,
yeah, yeah,
I'm going to tell you a story.
it's like a forced savings.
His father passed away,
Mhm.
and he was big into savings bonds. And he was older. The father was in his 70s
Sure.
when he passed. I mean, he was young, but he
Did he
wasn't
have
like a
silver
40-year-old.
certificates? Oh, no, that was mine.
He wasn't a 40-year-old that passed away. He was, in his 70s
Yeah.
when he passed away. He's young, but he's older for him, for the kid, because he's like 25.
Okay.
He passed away, and he was big into savings bonds, and he had about $300,000 worth of savings bonds that were just sitting there, maturing. I mean, that's insane. That's wild, right? If you think about it, to have that much in a almost like a retirement of sorts. Nobody thinks about that anymore. Do people get savings bonds anymore?
I have no idea. I mean,
Yeah. Let's
when
see.
I worked in banking, savings bonds were a fairly common occurrence. I mean, I think I still have, they expire at some point. They don't expire, but they stop accruing interest rate at some point. I don't know what probably 25 years or something or whatever the time frame is. I had a bunch from when I was a kid that at some point in our lives we cashed in. It was like $1,800 worth or
Yeah.
something.
So here's an example. If you bought a $50 savings bond in 1982, and you would have paid about $25 for that, right? It would have been a $25 value. That savings bond today would be worth about $150. It's
Yeah.
not bad.
So, yeah.
Someone's grandma got a whole bunch of these bonds sitting there. It's not bad at all. I thought that was, listen, I like this life hack stuff. I'm into this.
Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
give me your, and then we could do a really clickbaity. We could be like top 5 ways you could clean your refrigerator without using any kind of chemicals.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's right. There's all kinds of stuff. I mean,
I'm very interested into doing that.
even like the home swap thing, if you think about it, came out of a trip we had gone on to Europe, and I was like, I'd like to do more of this, but it's really expensive being here. You know,
Yeah.
like how could like how could we make this work? For periods of time that were greater than like a week or whatever, and like a home swap as an answer. The flights are going to be whatever they are, but when you're not paying, I can't afford to spend 3 weeks in a hotel. I'm not like
It's
Howard
expensive.
Hughes, you know.
What am I, a
But I mean, if you're
Rockefeller?
yeah, but you go to Europe and you look, you're going to spend more money because you're out doing stuff every day. It's not like being at home exactly, but when you cut off, you're already paying for your home, however you're paying for it. So there's no additional cost for like living somewhere. You buy stuff locally, just like you do at home. You shop and eat at home most of the time. Yeah, that month is more expensive than all the other months for sure. It's still, you're still out, you're doing stuff, but it's look, we spend as much. We could go to France for 3 weeks, Paris, whatever it is, and people think we're insane. But then they'll take the kids to Disneyland for 5 days, and they'll spend
Spend the
exactly the same
same.
amount of money.
Yep.
And what they're doing is completely normal.
Yeah.
And it's like,
But you're going
guys,
to
I
France,
guess
yeah.
you can give you that experience, or you could bring them to a different country and have them actually experience something. And it's the same price, but I'm doing it for like 3 to 5 times the duration. I just don't understand. That itself is a life hack right
So
there.
I have a question for you,
Spending
actually.
money wisely.
Like you and Steph go out and you eat out, right? You guys like to
Mhm.
go out and have drinks with friends and go out and eat.
Y
You guys
Well,
do it like
yes.
twice
I
a
mean,
week
but
at least?
how many?
You guys do it like twice a week?
I would say twice a week. So
Okay.
we during the week, like from Sunday through Thursday, we don't go out at all. So
Okay.
we will go like Friday. By the time Friday comes, especially my wife, like I've been working in a cave for a long time. I talk to people like you, I I I feel like I have, but my wife goes crazy. Like she's like, I have to get out of here. So Friday night we had like, have to go out to eat on Friday night. And then, sometimes on Saturday, but I would say 1 to 2,
Okay.
most likely.
So I go out. Well, I'm also out. That's part of the other
How
problem.
many
Like
days are there in a week, Andrew?
no, well, I'm traveling a lot, right? I go into Manhattan every other day. I'm doing something in Manhattan, so I'll always stop at the bar and I'll have a drink and I'll come home.
Right.
Because I obviously have a problem and I can't say no.
It would be
But
dangerous. By the way, if I did
yeah,
what you do, it
yeah,
would be, I would have a problem. There's no
sure.
doubt about it.
Listen, I stop by, I say hello to my friends, I see a couple people, and then I come home because I have the best wife in the world, and she never tells me like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" Um,
Okay.
who are you with? Who's
Mhm.
that? I don't have that in my life, and we're pretty much very open with go out, have a good time, enjoy
Mhm.
your life also. Uh, so, but my parents never went out. Like
Right.
going out was
No,
not a
no,
thing.
neither did mine.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Did your parents? I can't remember honestly. I can't remember a day that my parents were like, "Okay, listen, we're going out to dinner. Don't fuck anything up."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
No,
never happened.
no.
My parents
Listen, I
never did
so
that.
two things about this. I mean, first of all, we never went. Like my dad worked for the government, so we actually went down to Washington D.C. for 2 summers. But most like we didn't travel. Like we would go to Maine or Cape Cod or New Hampshire and rent a cabin or something.
Yeah.
And there was no like there were no, you know, my kids like summer in Europe. It's completely different. Like they don't. It's so. But the other thing is like, and this is unique to me, I guess, is like I'm adopted, right? So when I was 17 years old, I met my real father, and he's a guy who, even to this day, travels so much he makes me seem like a stay-at-home dad. This guy has lived in South America, in Japan, in South Africa, and he's lived in England for 7 years. He's he's just world traveler, right? And so I went out to meet him in 1983 out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I visited the Southwest United States. I'd never been anywhere except for New England and Florida. That was and
Yeah.
DC. And
But when you were a kid.
before, as a
Yeah.
normal middle
Yeah.
class, American lifestyle, whatever. So, I mean, but he instilled in me, I mean, I liked the travel I experienced, I liked, but this being a possibility was something new to me. And so when we were first married, for example, he paid for us to come out to London to visit him twice. And then one of those trips, we went to Ireland and Paris for the first time, which is something we never would have done, you know, but it
Did
kind of put
Steph's
that.
family travel? Did they
No,
go? No. Okay.
they were even more at home
Okay.
than we were, than my family was. And so, this is us traveling is not a reaction to our childhood, but being exposed to travel later on, we were like, wow, this is actually kind of cool. And by the way, I just scanned all my old photos and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I was sort of represented with was like when we were first married, we had no money at all. Like we
Yeah.
never did. But we actually
Very much
we
similar
actually
story to yours.
yeah,
Yeah.
we did stuff. Like
Yeah.
we traveled within our little confines. So like we did a lot of stuff in New England. We went up to Montreal. We went to Vermont a lot. Like we couldn't afford to go on big trips and probably didn't understand even what that entailed. But we still kind of did stuff. So to me, this is just like a natural extension of a love of travel that occurred over life, and just
I find it interesting because for people, I don't know if people realize this or not, but you and I are very much alike. With people, with just like with the
yeah,
way
yeah.
that I think people's opinions of us is very
Mhm.
similar.
Okay.
I think our interest, like, it just sometimes you meet people and you kind of connect. I've told the story all the time. Paul, I connected with Paul immediately, and we have this
Yeah.
liking for each other. The other weird thing is that three of my closest friends are adopted. So maybe it's something
Oh.
about me that adopted kids like. I don't know.
Sure.
You,
Right.
my one of my best friends, Bob, that's a big fan of the show.
Yeah.
He's adopted as well. And my friend Chauncey, that I went to go see in Ireland, he's adopted also. So I don't know. Maybe it's a common thing amongst adopted kids
Yeah.
that
Oh,
I
well,
kind
I
of
mean, I should say,
adopted through marriage.
yeah, I lived with my
Yeah,
mother, my real
yeah,
mother. I had a
yeah,
stepdad who adopted me.
yeah.
My father, my real father, was not part of my life at all, like until I was 17. Now I
But
can't get rid of the fucking guy because I'm
they,
living in his house and he stays for 8 days. And I said, like last year, I was like, I've seen this guy more this year than I have seen the previous 10 combined, you know, because he's so delighted we're here. Now
it's
he's like
it's
a
it's
free
funny how
place to
life
stay.
changes, right? Things change,
Yeah.
circumstances change in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm a middle class kid, blue collared kid. My father
Oh,
was a
yeah.
mechanic that worked. My parents were immigrants. My father came here when he was in his early 20s. My mother was 15.
Right.
My dad came here with $300 and he worked his ass off. He became, a VP of a car company, and he did well for himself.
Sure.
But I mean, we were always brought up middle class. My dad can make a lot of money or he can make no money. It was still the same upbringing. We grew up a middle
Yeah.
class life in a middle class neighborhood, and that's engraved in me. The blue
Mhm.
collaredness. I
Yeah.
always tell people when they say describe you, and I say I'm a blue collared shithead kid from Queens. That is what I am. I'm a blue collar
I
kid from Queens. I'm the epitome of this neighborhood. I didn't move out of the neighborhood. I stayed here. And
Right.
everybody, cops, firefighters, mechanics, plumbers, electricians. That's my entire neighborhood here. I'm the
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
one out
Yeah.
of my friends that is not a cop or a firefighter. I'm the only one that didn't get a blue collar job. They always joke about me. The joke is Andrew's hands are so soft because he's never worked a day in his life.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Uh,
Yep.
that's always the joke. And I tell them, I'm like, but at least I could read. That's always my
Jeez.
joke back to them. But
Sure.
we grew up together, and it's a mixed neighborhood, and it's um. By the way, not when I say a car company, I'm not saying a Chevy or Ford. It was it's a remanufacturing company. It had to do with cars. Let me
Yeah.
rephrase that. It wasn't that.
You
He
didn't
was
grow up in Detroit.
no, no, no. My dad was a mechanic, and he ended up becoming the VP of one of the biggest remanufacturing companies in the Northeast. They would
Hmm.
rebuild like car rack and pinions, which doesn't matter anymore, axles,
Right. Right. Right.
shocks, stuff like that. So I could do all of it, but it's just not what I do. You
Yeah.
you had a blue collar, a middle class upbringing, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it
Yeah.
kind of that kind of connects people in a way, and I'm curious about how, like, your kids and my kids, you know, that's going to be instilled on them, but they don't have the
You know
mentality
what
of it.
though? This is a story that's going to be in my wife's blog, but years ago, I was out visiting work in Colorado when I worked for Penton. This guy I work with is actually a friend of mine. He just said it was kind of a douchey thing. He kind of said something like, he's like, "What do you think? Your kids are gonna like thank you because you took them to Europe every summer, like they could care less." And I was like, "Dude, let me tell you something. I grew up as an ignorant, you know,
Yeah.
person. I didn't know anything." And I said, I don't care if my kids thank me. I just want them to be exposed to things that are different and then not act like a complete ass when that
Yeah.
happens. That they just understand that things are different in different places and people are different and it's all good. You know, that's all I'm looking for. The point of this is not some like, it's like we're on some luxury cruise because we're not. It's just we're spending time together as a family, but we're out in the world experiencing things that are a little different. It's not the antiseptic kind of Disney experience. Um, and it's not the thing you're limited to in your own neighborhood, like
Yeah.
that, we all experience. I mean, I just want them to have that perspective. That's all, you know,
Yeah.
it's a simple thing. And maybe, so in that sense, I guess it is a reaction. Cause I have terrible stories of my ignorance as a young kid or a young man or whatever, specifically because I didn't have
You didn't have the
a broader
exposure.
worldview and didn't understand it, didn't understand the world at all,
Well, that's
and that
people,
wasn't
right?
my parents being abusive. It was just
You
they
just
didn't
weren't
get it
exposed.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I think it's just constant evolution of people. You know, we all evolve, things change, opinions change. What you did 20, 30 years ago, changes. Mentalities change. What's appropriate and what's not changes as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll give you the other story though. Like, I never traveled. So we would go to Florida once every 2 years. That was my big trip with my family. My father would drive
Well,
down to Florida.
we went to
Uh
Florida once.
we would it would
Once.
would you drive or okay, drove or flew
No, we flew it. It was on Eastern Airlines, and it was the biggest thing in the world.
to do this? Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
My
it was
father
big.
would pack
We
us
drove
in.
to DC.
Oh, you drove to okay.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
father would drive down to Florida every summer. He would take a 2 week
That's amazing.
vacation every
Yeah.
summer. He would go get in his '88 Pathfinder or whatever his
Did
whatever
he,
truck he had before that.
was this a straight through drive, or do you stop somewhere on the way?
No, my father would never stop.
Yeah.
Straight through.
Okay.
I'm going to say that the kids would be in the trunk, so it would be me and my cousins in the trunk of
Right.
the
Oh,
Pathfinder.
no, yeah, no, we
Nobody
all did
sat,
this, yeah.
and
Yep.
there may or may not have been a cooler next to him with sandwiches and maybe beer,
Yeah, no,
and that was his
my
drive.
parents didn't do that, but Stephanie's parents did.
The
And
cooler
same
with the
thing,
beer and the
they
bologna
drove they
sandwiches.
never flew anywhere, they always had beer in the front seat.
Yeah,
That was the world,
that
well,
was the
this was the
world.
1960s in their case, but, that was the world.
Yeah, and it was a big. So we would go down to Florida. My mother would rack up points, and then we would stay in a Marriott. That was the big thing. We would stay in a Marriott in Fort
Oh,
Lauderdale, and it was a big. I mean, that thing was like a palace. We
I
would get like a big
we
suite
had
in a
no
Marriott.
dude,
The
we
whole
stayed in
family.
places like Kissimmee Inn,
No, no. Oh, we did it too.
these, like,
Yeah, the
rat
Savannah
hole.
Inn. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
oh,
would
yeah,
do
just
that
the
too. But
worst.
this one experience, and this epitomizes the family trips. We would go down to
Yep,
Florida. My father would drive straight through. We would get in at
yep.
like 3 in the morning, and 2 days would go by. My father would say, "I hate Florida. I want to go back home."
Well,
Pack everybody up on a 1 week trip, 3 weeks in, and drive straight back home to New York. That
oh
was
boy.
every trip. My father hated Florida, and he would
Yeah.
do it every year. And all he could do was last 3 days, and then come right back up.
See, so every time I go to Florida, because I go there a lot for work, and actually my brother lives there too, but I always go with this eye toward, could I ever live here? Because it would be so cheap in so many ways, especially when the kids are out of the house. And as you get older, I mean, naturally, it's the law. Eventually, I'm gonna have to head down there. And I gotta hate it. I just hate
Yeah,
the weather. I can't do it. Like,
I can't. I like the
it's
cold, man.
just it's too brutally hot and humid, like the heaviness of the humidity.
Yeah,
We went out there years ago in January, and we were living in Phoenix, and it was too hot for us there. You
and
know?
it's a humid heat, Paul. It's not
Yeah,
a
it's
dry
gross.
heat.
It was like weighing on us.
Yeah, that was the extent of my travel. Um, that I mean, we never traveled. We went to California once as a kid. We flew.
Yeah.
My father hated it, flying, and then he rented. I remember he rented an Oldsmobile. I think he rented an Olds when we were in California, and he had the
Yep.
best time in California. We came back and we never went again because nobody wanted to fly. It was always a big
Right.
deal. Nobody wanted to travel. But on the other end, my wife, they had no money growing up.
Right.
They were middle class, but I mean a different middle class than me. But every summer they would go away somewhere. They would go on cruises. She has traveled the world her whole life.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
No,
later on,
we
her
never
mother
did any of
made a
that.
couple bucks, but her mother,
Didn't-
I mean, she went to Spain when she was
Dude,
16.
I
She
didn't
went
even go to
everywhere.
Canada with my parents. They wouldn't go that far, you know?
Yeah, it's a different
They
mentality, though. It's a different
it's
upbringing, different mentality.
I don't think my parents in Dedham did not visit Europe until after I did as an adult. You know what I mean?
Where did they
Like they
go?
did, Austria and it was basically it's kind of weird. It was like Switzerland, Austria, and the north of Italy kind of thing. I
Yeah.
don't quite understand the
But see,
trip, but
like, I'll give you an example. I went to Ireland for a weekend trip, right?
yeah,
A couple weeks ago.
yeah, yep.
Nobody in my family like my father's like, what do you mean you're going to Ireland for a
Well,
weekend? I'm
so
like, I'm coming back on Monday.
yeah,
I'm going on Friday and I'll be back Tuesday morning. He's
I
like,
mean,
I don't understand that. Why? Why would you do
right.
that? That's crazy. I was like, why not? You could do it.
Well, okay, so everything has to go right for that to make sense. I mean, you have to live where you live, which you do.
Which I do,
The
yeah.
ticket prices have to make sense
Which it did.
because often, which they did. And then the flights have to be on time. Everything has to work. Like my wife and I just did the Barcelona thing. Same thing. We were only there for 2 days. We feel like we were there for a week. Like we did a lot of stuff. And but anything could have screwed it up. And
Yeah, bad weather could have messed it up. I mean, it's possible.
yeah,
But, my wife goes to Poland for the weekend randomly.
yeah.
She'll come
Well, you
home on
live
a
on the East
Thursday
Coast of the
night.
United States, you can do it.
Yeah.
It's gonna, you're gonna be off for 5 days. I mean, there's nothing
Have you
you can
gone
do
to
about that.
Poland? Have you been to Poland?
No, I've not been to Poland.
My
No.
wife loves Poland. She's not
Yeah.
Polish, by the way. A lot of people
Yeah.
ask me that because I always say that, and it's like a big joke that my wife will come home on a Thursday night and say, I'm going to Poland tomorrow. And I'll ask her when she's coming back. She'll say Monday night. Her best friend's Polish, and they have this
Right.
beautiful penthouse in Warsaw, like overlooking, I guess, the square or whatever it overlooks.
Mhm.
And a lot of times they buy tickets in advance for the father does, and her husband can't go. So my
Okay.
wife will go with her to Poland because it's a waste to waste the
Yeah.
tickets. So they'll transfer the whole thing, and then she'll go to Poland. She loves Poland. It's like she says it's almost like Prague. Very
Yeah,
similar to
sure.
Prague and it's cheap,
I
very
can see it.
inexpensive. Listen, $25 pierogies,
Okay,
25-cent
but you still have to
pierogies.
get there. So I mean, I don't know if you can fly nonstop from New York City to Warsaw. Maybe you can, but
Yeah,
even
you
still,
can.
okay. But it's still, I mean, what is that? A 10-hour flight or something? I
No,
mean,
7 hours.
oh come on,
Yeah, 7-8
It's-
hours. Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Okay,
She
it's
does
still
a
long
red eye.
flight.
Yeah. Let me see. NYC to Poland flight. It's 8 hours.
Yeah, it's still. I mean, and you're crossing. I mean, you've got to be 6, 7 hours ahead or whatever it is. 7 probably in Warsaw.
She times it to be a red eye, so she goes to bed and she wakes up.
Yeah, I can't sleep
Yeah.
on a plane. So
Yeah.
for me, like we went to Barcelona and my wife slept the whole. I could see her. She's in the next to me. She's got an eye mask on. She's got the neck pillow, gone, and I'm like, fidgeting in the seat. I can't get comfortable in this thing. It's like a contraption that's designed to.
I think I can't go to sleep either. But for Jess, she's like, I don't understand why you don't like flying. She's like, I just take a Tylenol PM and I wake up and I'm in a whole different country. And
Okay. Well,
it's really like sleeping all night for her. And I wish I had that ability because I would travel a lot more.
I've only experienced that a couple of times. I had when Microsoft sent me down to New Zealand. It was technically a business class seat, but it was a bed, and I slept in both directions, and it was the most wonderful. It's the only way I could have done it. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
But that never happened. I mean, that's not
No,
normal
that's
for
a
me. I don't-
rarity. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to LA on Monday, and that's not going to happen because I have a 7 a.m. flight out of JFK,
Nice.
which is the one that I always take, and
Mhm.
my seat is 9 On JetBlue, it's 9D. I think it's the same as you, right? You do 9D?
No. I was 21. I think it was 21F. If I,
You do
I haven't been,
21F.
I haven't been on. It was the one over the wing. It's like an exit receipt. I haven't been
No,
on JetBlue in a while.
I'm in the front of the plane always.
Yeah.
I decided not to go this Monday. I was supposed to go yesterday because that seat was not available.
I told you the story, right? I had flown in the same exact seat 18, 19 times in a row. And then on one trip, I was booking it in one direction. I couldn't get the seat. So I had to get the seat like 2 over. You don't want the middle seat. So
Yeah.
the guy, I was waiting to meet this guy who took my seat, and so finally I'm sitting on, now I'm on the aisle. So the guy kind of comes out, he goes, excuse me, I've got this. Yeah. So do you have 21F? He said, yeah. I said, good. I've been waiting to talk to you. He's like, I told him the story. He goes, you want the seat? I'm like, yeah, I want the seat.
Yeah. And he took it.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I rebooked because it's part of my weird hocus pocus thing that I need to get the same seat. So I booked it.
That's a different podcast. That's not life hacking.
Yeah. No, that's not life hacking. There's no life hack with that because I ended up paying more.
Yeah.
You didn't hack anything. I think we should do a life hack thing. We did about 44 minutes right now doing this bonus show. I'm now convinced that we need to do a 10-minute weekly life hacking thing.
Oh boy.
Where we could change it week after, 1 week you pick, 1 week I pick.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk about it.
Let's do it, guys. Come on, convince Paul. What the heck? You can do it.
I just don't know if I have enough.
Yeah, plenty. Yeah, more than you know. Listen, potted plants. Top 10 ways to plant your,
Sure. How to get a stain out of anything.
How to get a stain out of anything. OxyClean. That's the answer.
OxyClean. Yeah.
OxyClean.
Yeah.
You could take a linen shirt from 50 years ago that's, mustard colored now and make it bleach white.
Pearly white.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's it for this week. We'll see you all later. Take care. Don't take a 737. They are refused. Don't take 737s. They're refusing in UK. 737 planes or 737 is a pill. I feel like 737s could be another name for Quaalude. What the heck? Do it. People are loving it. Paul, you should check these lights out. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a review of them. Maybe you want to. If it's good, I'll send you the review and you see what you want to do. But these are really cool.
Yeah. Let me know when you review it. I'm always interested.
Listen, 20-something bucks, But this thing is, you always have to buy a pair. You can't just buy one. You got to buy at least two.
Well, yeah, sure. I don't think I've ever bought well, no, that's not true. I have bought single bulbs, but yeah, you often buy them in a pack.
Yeah. Are you going to Boston a lot more now?
No, I go about once a quarter.
Oh, is that what you're doing?
No, I was there whenever, a couple weekends ago. The last time I was there before that was November.
Are you staying with friends or what are you doing?
Yeah.
Have you gone by the house?
Yeah. Yep.
Is it weird?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It has to be.
Yeah, it is. It is weird.
You just go right in the house. You just open up.
I tell you, like one of our neighbors texted my wife, our ex-neighbors. She goes, "Are those people Jewish to live in your house?" And
oh my God!
Like, what are you talking about? She goes, "Why?" And she says, "They don't have any Christmas decorations up."
She was upset over that.
You guys used to have awesome. We used to put the lights on the fence, and I was like,
"Oh my God!"
Just tell her, seriously, like,
what do you say?
They just moved there. Cut them a break. So somebody drove through the fence, did circles on their front lawn, and then drove out through another part of the fence.
Are you
on
kidding
Christmas Eve? No,
as an FU
on Christmas Eve, not last year, the year before. I think they did it. I think it was related to the text we got. I think it was her kids.
Oh my God!
Mad at them because they weren't us.
Was it a hate crime?
Yeah, I really believe that. So this past year when I was out there, someone sent us a bit. Someone sent us, one of our other neighbors sent a photo. They put lights all over the fence. And I was like, well, their house is going to be safe now. Thank God. Like,
oh my God.
Just a total townie thing.
It is a townie. So they knocked, I know the fence.
Well, it's like one of those, the fences made of plastic now. So they literally drove through the fence, did donuts on the front lawn, and then drove out through another part of the fence.
Did it happen at night or during a day?
Yeah, Christmas Eve.
Oh my
Can you imagine
God.
that? No, I mean, that's
No,
horrific.
so you know what it was? Somebody was piss drunk and was like, you know what?
Yes.
Fuck these
Yes.
people.
Well,
Fuck
that's
these
when we heard
people.
from this woman. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And she, like, my wife's like, I just got a text from, I don't want to say her name, but,
Yeah.
you know, and it was like, ah, geez. And then when we found out about the Christmas Eve incident, I was like, I know exactly who did this. I was
Oh,
like,
that's great.
because these guys, I was like, they have a lot of, adult kids, kind of basically
Yeah.
adult kids. Like, I don't know.
Oh my God.
It was just so, anyway,
People,
they,
I hope the people enjoy that because it wasn't recorded. That that
yeah, well,
story.
thank God. But I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. So anyway, yeah, when I go back, I drive by, just take a peek at it. And also,
Yeah.
we have 2 houses in Dedham. There's an older one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents live there, and
Do you ever stay there or no?
no, I stay with friends because most of the point of me going out is almost always just some, a bunch of us getting
Debauchery.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you, Paul, for that. That was a lot of fun.
Sorry, sorry, that was kind of
I,
annoying.
you know what though? That is a story that would happen on my block.
Yeah. Well,
They,
right. I mean, just
so the best was, I cannot tell this story. Oh, let me think if I could tell this story.
I like the towny
I
cronyism thing. Like,
I cannot tell this story. The I cannot tell the story. I thought I could, but I'm trying to even censor it a little, and I can't. But
right.
there was a "there goes the neighborhood," moment that happened
Sure.
when one of the old timers in the neighborhood sold the house. When the O'Donohues sold the
Yep.
house. So I guess I could tell the story, right? Okay, I'll do it. So the O'Donohues sold the house.
Yep.
By the way, I'm giving a random name right now.
Okay.
So Red Dragon in our chat room has been to Bayside and knows it's a very cliquey. There's the Irish side of the neighborhood, there's the Italian side, there's the Jewish side, and then there's the other, like the Greeks and the Polish and the other. That's how Bayside is spread out. I was the first non-Irish to move to my block, my family. So I bought my childhood house. So that's part of the big story here, right?
Yep.
I was the first. So it was like there goes a neighborhood for us. Like they tried to fight my dad. My father got into fist fights. And then they became best friends, like that. That's like the whole story. So we're going back to the 80s. So one of my neighbors sold their house. This house was a piece of shit. It was falling apart. They had a pool in the backyard that was always green, and the kids would pop, like they would get a pool every couple of years, like one of those inflatable pools, and it would puncture it, and they would let all the water go out and would cause a major flood, and then it would ruin the other neighbor's yard. And they would throw these parties. They had no windows on the second floor because all the kids blew it up. They were terrible. They moved, right? They sold a house. The uproar in the neighborhood when the Korean family, the young Korean family, bought the house.
Of course.
You know what? And they fixed the house up. They didn't even demolish.
I
the
can already
house.
tell how this one's going. Like,
They fixed the house. It's beautiful, and it's not a McMansion, the stereotypical New York thing where you build beautiful house. They built the house.
Yeah.
The hardworking, and they're American. Okay, they're American Korean. They're not, they're not even off the boat to say that. Even that's not an excuse, but not even, they grew up in Queens. These people.
Sure.
And one of my neighbors comes to me and he goes, "Man, that must suck for you, huh?" I'm like, "What do you mean?"
What?
He goes, the Koreans moved in next door? And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Huh." And I go, "Do you remember what I lived next door to before this?" I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, "Well, look what they did to the house." I'm like, "Yeah, they made it beautiful." And those cars in the driveway, I'm like, "It's a Mercedes. They have two Mercedeses. They built this house up beautifully." And I'm like, "Are we even on?" He's like, "I don't know, man. This neighborhood's changing." And he walked away. I'm like, "It's changing. These poor people, they bought this dump of a house. They fix it up. They're great neighbors. They put a brand new fence up because the other ones, they would break my fence constantly. The kids were like out of their minds. We had a wooden fence for years. And we would paint the fence in every year, and then they would just like act like animals, and they would demolish the fence. They wouldn't even fix it. These people came in, beautiful fence, beautiful house. They do that landscaping. And I go, oh my God, what kind of mentality is this? There goes the neighborhood.
Yeah, we didn't have that problem. I mean,
It's
over the
nuts.
we had people, everyone left. I mean, every neighbor across from us or next to us moved while we were there, right? Like, because it was older people and new families came in. I mean, that's, the natural way of things, whatever. But we didn't have any
Yeah,
racism or, whatever. There was at least, I mean, not
still
when I was an
underlining
adult.
exists, and the person telling
Yep.
me, I'm like, I just last week saw your wife screaming at you and throwing your shit out the window. Like, I'm
Oh,
not
God.
even exaggerating. There was a day that the person that said this to me,
Yeah.
his wife and him got into a fight, so she would throw all his shit out the window, and he would leave drunkenly and drive off, and drunkenly. Another time, she got so scared of him, and she jumped out of the window. They're no longer together, by the way, these two. But these are the people that are telling me that the
Sure.
the,
That the
the young
neighborhood's gone
Korean
downhill.
family that moved in,
Yeah.
there goes the neighborhood.
Yep.
I'm astonished by that.
I don't know. That's very, I don't know. That's so stereotypical. And
It is old school.
sad.
Listen,
Yeah,
old school
it's just,
neighborhoods, and that's how
hey,
it
listen,
is.
when my parents, my real father and my mother got married, like there was a big controversy because one of them was Catholic and the other one was Protestant, and you
God
didn't do
forbid.
that back then. Like,
God
what are you
forbid.
talking about? I don't know. The world's crazy.
I had somebody ask me yesterday if I was Muslim or Catholic. That's what they
Yeah.
asked me.
And you're
I
like,
go,
why can't I be
I'm like,
both?
why can't I be in between? I'm like, those are
What's
two
in between?
extremes. How about?
Right.
I mean, can I be anything else?
Sure.
Can I be anything? I'm like, I'm Catholic, and my kids are Catholic. He goes, oh, I'm surprised.
Guy who got me into
Surprised
writing
you're
used to say
Catholic.
that he was a Masonite.
Amazing.
Masonite is a form of countertop. And he used to say this when, like, the Jehovah Witnesses would come to the door, and he's like, "Oh no, no, I'm a Masonite," and they'd be like, "Oh, nice," and then
That's awesome.
that was the end of
Oh,
that.
sorry, I won't bother you.
Yeah, no, I see you already you found
Yeah.
God then.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's hysterical. All right. Thank you, Paul. That was fun. I had a lot of fun today. So what the heck? What the heck?
Yeah, maybe.
I'll finagle it. I'll get it in. I'll do something.
right.
We'll figure this
All
out.
right.
All right. I'll see you guys. Take care.
Bye.